Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of OpenTalk. I'm your host Steve, and this is episode number 4, Attack of the PowerPC Clones. And we are recording on April 17th, 2021. Let me know if the audio sounds good, if the video looks good. Hopefully I didn't screw up any of the settings this time. And then we'll get right to it. But today's episode, as you could guess, is going to be talking about those later PowerPC clones. We have a few here, and our good guest James is going to have some of his own goodies to show as well. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is plug in some extra video ports here, and James is going to magically appear on your screen. So let's just plug that in. And oh, it's magic! Look at that! It's James! AKA Hyper Talking.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
Excellent. I know I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little bit bleary-eyed, but and a bit sleepy, but I'm ready for more clone action. And it's nice to move from 68K to PowerPC, because who wanted all that? Who wanted all those complex instructions anyway?
We made quite a jump.
Me a reduced. Yeah. It's blazing fast PowerPC power now from where is it? Is it Apple, IBM, and Motorola coming together? Their synergy.
And I'm just going to briefly show off our fancy new view. Let's see if it'll work. Ooh, look at this.
Oh, I'm excited.
This is we have a capture right into a actual Macintosh clone. So we're going to be dorking out today. Oops, wrong dialogue.
I I don't think I can cope with the level of technology on this show. Like we've got 3 screens at the same time.
I know.
It's too much.
It's we're a bit crazy, but that's what happens here. So
I like how you're what is it? You're having to use a computer with 200 megs of RAM just to run simple text.
that's the power of a Macintosh clone, baby. That's
7.6, a classic choice for a client.
yeah.
A PowerPC
That's what it
client.
came
Good.
with. So I'm
Nice.
I'm very scared to do anything otherwise with it. Besides, it'll get it'll get screwed up. But I'll navigate away from this, and so I'll just give a very brief intro for anybody who does not know what a Macintosh clone is. Shame on you. No, there's a video series that I'm currently in the process of, and the first episode went out where I talked about the very early history of Apple looking into other companies manufacturing the Macintosh computer. But where I left off is sort of where we are in the state of the computers that we're looking at today. And this was a period of time in the early 1990s when a decision was made at Apple for them to allow third-party companies to manufacture hardware that would be macOS compatible, whether it was using boards and parts that Apple supplied, or whether it was using parts that were co-developed by other companies, etc. But essentially there were parts lists, and there were Macintosh ROM chips or the equivalent of other doodads and trickery that went into these boards that allowed them to run the macOS, and they were officially supported by the operating system, and they were officially licensed by Apple. So those machines are called Macintosh clones. So it's not a Hackintosh, it's not anything that's emulating a processor. These are true PowerPC processors running the macOS legitimately, and they're all sorts of weird and fun, and I have 3 in my collection. James has a few he's going to show off today as well. And they're just very fascinating machines. I really didn't know much about them until I got one around 2007, 2008 or something like that. And I have 3, all from different manufacturers. And they're interesting. I'll say that, and we'll go into more details as we go along there. But I think that's a pretty sizable recap, I guess, of sort of what these things are all about. I don't know if I missed anything, James.
No, that's pretty good. Like, I'm just amused. I've got this copy from of a magazine. This is a British magazine called The Mac.
Okay.
Which is a kind of like it was from the same publishers as Mac User, but like Mac User was for like professionals, like in the graphics industry or whatever, and the Mac was much more aimed at consumers.
Okay.
And this is their March '95 issue, and you'll see Clone Zone is the
is that a 3D render of Dick Dastardly from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon?
Yeah, yeah, it was like it's some really terrible game, the Wacky Races game. Yeah, there's a review of it in there. Why is it on the front cover? I don't understand.
Somebody paid the publisher a lot for that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And they're reviewing Freehand 5, if you can remember Macromedia Freehand. And yeah, so March 95, and they're excited because they've got a whole article about the clones. And this page here, you can see they're explaining what the clones are and where it's come from.
Oh, that's cool.
It's all about like the hardware platform, and it's funny because they're saying make up of a Mac clone, and I mean maybe it isn't funny, but it's so basic. It's like it's going to have a floppy disk drive, it's going to have a speaker, it's going to have a CD-ROM drive. But I mean, I think they're trying to get across like how similar and different it is from like a normal Apple Mac, and they talk all about here they're talking all about like the history of IBM versus Apple, and sort of basically why they've ended up in this place. And then the first Mac clone, they've got a picture here, it's really bad. So they're saying here's a little breakout box here.
Uh-huh.
At the Macworld show, Radius unveiled the first Mac clone, dismissed by some as a reskinned Quadra or an irrelevant high-end workstation. Radius is still the first to have produced a Mac clone. Others thought to have Mac clones in the pipeline include IBM. That didn't happen. They made PowerPC, but not Power Mac.
Yeah.
Motorola, which did happen, and of course Motorola made loads that other people used with their own cases on. Yeah, sublicense, exactly. Fujitsu, I don't think they made anything. Olivetti, I don't think they made anything. Toshiba, nope. Power Computing, yes, of course, and we're going to see one today. And possibly Acorn, which is brilliant. I mean, why would Acorn have done that? They had their own RISC processor that was like kind of.
I think everyone was just
different.
like, look, Apple finally is giving out the keys of the kingdom. We're going to sign up and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, maybe there were a lot of people just trying to find out what would be the deal. And so here they've got a whole timeline of like Apple Mac history, and then at the end, 1995 January. First Mac clones announced from Radius, Power Computing, and Cutting Edge, who I've never heard of.
I think so when I was doing the clone series, I researched a lot of things, and there's a lot of blurbs and magazines of some of those companies, but you know, they either had a proof of concept, or by the time they had something, Apple had changed from a 603 or something like that, and they just weren't just going to do it anymore. But I see Tech and Music here in the chat spied the same Pioneer system that you were looking at not too long ago.
Yeah,
you could tell that James is very jealous.
Oh, did you manage to get it?
I don't think he got it. Okay, but those are interesting.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm going to show one in a sec. I'll just before I do that, I'll just show this. Oh, it's really crap, but there's a very blurry photo from that Macworld announcement of this is Radius announcing their clone. Can you see that dark grey?
Yeah.
I can't tell if you can see that at all. Sorry.
No, I could see it.
There we go. It's got that wavy edge.
What magazine is that again?
So this is called The Mac.
Okay, and
that's a British magazine.
What date is on there?
That is March 95.
Okay, because that would be an excellent thing to shove in my future video here. So I'm curious if there's a scan of that somewhere.
I'll send you anything you need, but yeah, I don't know if there's many British magazines. There's very few scans of them out there, which is why I tend to pick them up. Yeah, send me a scan.
I'll do it. Don't tempt me.
I'm sorry. I'm such a bad archivist. So, talking of the Pioneer clones I got mentioned. So, 2 months later, the Mac issue, May 95, is this one here, which has got the Pioneer clone on the front cover. And so they basically say, it says on the edge, the Pioneers. And what's nifty about it is it has like a Pioneer branded monitor and everything. And I'm going to be using my Pioneer mouse today. Go. That's from a Pioneer clone. One day I'll get the clone. So I'll jump to the other. So this is quite fun. It's basically Tokyo's Mac Expo in 95. And so this is the LX100, which is the 040
That's
clone,
right.
which
That's
as far as I know is the only 68K official clone.
Yeah.
I don't know of any others. And then what else is there but the prototype of the Pippin?
Oh, wow.
There we go. And I've got a whole article in another magazine about that we can get to at some point. And then there's the other, down here you can see that's the GX1, which is the Pioneer clone which is basically a PowerMac 6100. It uses the PowerMac 6100 board. And actually the back of it looks a lot like a PowerMac 6100 that's been jacked up like another couple of inches.
Yeah. And from what I understand, that Pioneer one in the main photo there was similar. Like Apple had their board in it, but there was a bunch of add-on boards inside, from what I recall.
Yeah, I think it was like a quarter of 630 or something like that, equivalent, or like, LC 630, whatever it is. But it says here, I mean, the specs are what you'd expect: 33 megahertz LC040. It just reads like one of those like LC 630, quarter 630 machines, and then the GX1 obviously is 66 megahertz, 601. So yeah, and Apple just I think Apple supplied them with the board design, and they put in speakers and made their own layout, and they had this. On some of the models, they had this thing called like the Super Bay or something, which you could put like a magneto optical disc in or an extra hard drive in. And then also the other thing that they did some peripherals to match it too, and we talked a bit about this before. You can see in the background another box that's a similar wavy shape.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, that's a Laserdisc player that they made that was controllable by the Mac for doing like multimedia stuff. Yeah, I've seen that come up on Yahoo auctions as well.
I want the Laserdisc player more than everything now because I'm a big Laserdisc junkie. I have a problem when it comes to Laserdiscs.
I have a Laserdisc player under my desk, and I have the only Laserdiscs I have are the Apple ones that I've got, the weird multimedia things, because otherwise I would go completely off off piece and end up with hundreds of them.
There's a projection screen there, and there's a laser display.
Oh, wow.
There's a laser displayer plugged into the projector that's on the ceiling.
Wow, you do everything 3 decades ago.
Yes.
Very good. I heartily approve.
Thankfully, the projector isn't 3 decades old. It's a modern projector.
Oh, yeah, one of those ones with the RGB lenses. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, the ceiling will collapse, I think.
There's some information about Cutting Edge. Made disk drives and hard drive enclosures. Cool. But as far as I know, they didn't make a clone. And Tech and Music has got more about Pioneer. Yeah, they made a G3 tower clone, as far as I'm aware, that they showed off at Macworld.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that, and there are photos of that on the web that I've seen.
Yeah, and I think he's correct in that story. Is basically they were about to release their G3 clone in a few weeks or a few months, and Jobs came back and was like, no, and they and then
stopped everyone.
Yeah, and because they would have had the first G3 out before Apple. Apple wouldn't have had that processor out there. They would have been second bested by a clone.
And I think I've said this on a previous chat we've had as well. I've got magazines here where there are adverts for the Umax G3 clone in it.
Oh wow!
But I think they were all. Presumably they were advertising it because the Umax told them it was coming, and then obviously it never did.
Okay, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so it kind of sucks. And sometimes they call it G3, sometimes they call it the 750. So yeah, apart from the the Pippin was called the Bandai Power Player at this point. Okay. And I've actually got a magazine with a whole article where they go in depth on that, and it's got like super high res photos of the whole thing.
You'll have to do some photos of those pages for me.
Yeah, and we could do a little Pippin episode. I mean, basically, there's no point looking at any games because they're all terrible. But we can look at the hardware and talk about it. There's no point turning it on.
It just looks pretty.
And then yeah, exactly. It does look cool. It looks great. I wish I had the little disk drives that went underneath because that makes it look even more fun.
I saw one
it gets
come
like
up,
a little face.
and I almost bid on it, but I said, I don't even have a Pippin. What am I doing?
Pippins do come in the States because they actually released it in the US too, didn't they? They released the
At-Mark
version.
World, something like that,
Yeah. So anyway, so there's the Pioneer clone as well. But the next page, we have got the new PowerMac 8115/110, which was a Japan-only one. But also, again, we have the Radius clone. Let's see if I can get this in shot. Can you see that? You've got the Radius clone again in the dark. I'm not doing a good job of this. Sorry, in the dark grey.
No, I see it.
So there you go. There it is in the dark grey there. And remember the dark grey because that's what makes it look so. One of the things that makes it look so damn cool. And then there's also this was Apple at this Tokyo Mac Expo. Apple also showed off all these bizarro prototypes.
Oh wow!
Which is I've never heard of Apple showing off prototypes before. And look at them. They're bizarre. Is that big enough for you?
Yeah, that is. It almost looks like a cube on the right.
Yeah, so weird, isn't it?
And that is.
So yeah, they were showing off. And
that is fantastic.
Yeah, and the one on the left looks like a till from a shop. Like, doesn't look cool at all. But anyway, so that was the Japanese Mac Expo. It looked pretty cool. So that was that.
Oh wait, what's on the back of that? Is that a Laserdisc on the back?
Oh. That is a CD recorder, only £1,500.
Oh, what a savings! Oh my goodness! Oh, that just slaps you awake of the time period you're looking at.
And you could buy, and if you wanted toast with it, it comes free with toast, which at the time had an RRP of £900.
Of course, no one's going to pay that.
Wow,
for toast.
And by the way, if you want to record at 4-speed instead of, I'm not sure this is either single or double, but if you want to record at 4-speed, only £3,225. So there you go. But it only takes 20 minutes to record a distance.
Yeah. Oh, that is really cool.
That's May 95. So I thought those would be fun because they give us a bit of the context for what we're talking about, like leads us into the beginning of all of this. And I think at the beginning, I'm scraping my brain here, but there was like a whole bunch of people that were like, it seems like we're either rumored to be thinking about it, like that magazine showed, or there were a lot of people thinking about it. So who were the first ones? Because you've done this research. I know Radius. Yeah. Obviously Pioneer.
Radius.
And obviously Power Computing.
Pioneer, Power Computing, and then Daystar was very quick afterwards. I don't have the full list in front of me, but those
because they were making accelerators.
Exactly. So those four were like the main ones that were like, yes, we're going to run with this. And Radius only got out what is it, one or two machines, and then they sold their business to Umax, which branded their machines under the Supermac name. Because I think Radius sold their Mac business. Well, it was either their clone business and their assets, or their clone business and some of their Supermac assets to Umax, and then they rebranded them as Supermac here in the U.S. But I think they were just called Umax machines elsewhere.
Yeah. Mine is just Umax. There's no mention of Supermac anywhere, as far as I can remember. Although we'll look at it later.
Yeah, but it's interesting because the spoiler alert, the ones who lasted at the end of it were Power Computing and Umax just slightly edged out Power Computing, and Power Computing ended up getting bought by Apple because they were so upset of Steve Jobs axing them. They made such a fuss that Jobs was like, "No, we're not doing this. We're just gonna buy you out and silence you all." So, typical Apple move.
Down.
Yeah, typical Apple move.
And now, am I right in remembering that basically the main strategy for shutting down the clones was to basically just not give them a license for Mac OS 8?
Yeah. So,
but Umax somehow got it.
Yeah. So
what was the story there?
So from what I recall, because these licenses,
most clones had this.
Yeah.
Most clones had that,
but not.
And they didn't. They wanted that, but they never got it.
Exactly. They wanted 8, but they couldn't get 8. Most of them.
Yeah. So
basically, what happened was when they set up the clone agreement before Jobs was there, they had set up basically. I think it was like a $50 fee per clone sold, or something along those lines. Apple would get $50 per each machine that Radius sold or Power Computing sold or whoever. Now, those agreements, I believe the $50 was always the same, but they might have had different stipulations with each company. It might have differed. And so, from what I recall from doing my research there, when Jobs returned, he was very upset with the clone business. And before that, even, Apple was not 100% happy with it, because what had happened was, instead of what Apple expected, where these clone manufacturers would come in and they would produce these machines and expand the marketplace, they actually ended up, eating into Apple's higher profit machines, because, Umax or Power Computing or whoever would produce basically a Mac that would be sold by Apple for like $4,000 or $5,000. They'd sell it for $2,000 or $3,000. So Apple's higher end offerings, which is where they made most of their profits, were just being taken away from them. And Apple was not doing well because these clone manufacturers, like it or not, they had the lowest price, and people were looking at a comparison of, forgive the expression, apples to apples here, and they were like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and just buy the Power Computing one. It does the same thing and everything, so why should I bother? And so this was going on when Gil Amelio was there, and so when Steve Jobs returned, he famously tells this story. I think it was at the Siebold event, where he talks about the clone manufacturers and says he went to them, no worries, and he says, I told them that we need to renegotiate, and they told me to go pound sand and blah, blah, blah. And so essentially what had happened was Steve Jobs wanted to renegotiate with them, and then it just did not, really work out. So what Apple ended up doing was they said, well, you know what? Technically we have the upper hand here, because we could easily just say, by the way, our licenses were for System 7, and System 7.6 was out at the time. Yep. Now, if Apple they originally planned it, we're doing an update called 7.7. And if 7.7 were able to continue, the clone manufacturers would legally be able to use that. So what Apple famously did is they rebranded 7.7 as Mac OS 8, and by doing that, they forced all the clone manufacturers to renegotiate with them. The caveat there is that Apple said, well, you have to go through this process, and then they weren't really accepting anybody into that process. So at the the pinnacle of this all, Umax had a fairly good relationship with Apple because they were selling most of their lower end machines at some point that didn't really truly compete with Apple except at the higher ends. And Apple basically talked to them and basically got somehow an agreement saying, look, you could sell these sub $1,200 Macs or whatever, but you can't really eat into our higher end margins. We have to have some sort of agreement here. And so the exact parts of that agreement don't come to my mind, but essentially they gave Umax the license for Mac OS 8, let them ship Mac OS 8 discs with their machines and everything. And from what I understood, I talked to somebody at Umax, some machines may have come with the CD. They were heavily requested by folks to do an upgrade and stuff like that. And he remembers, I believe, handing those out. But the sort of opposite happened with Power Computing because Apple was getting a lot of heat from them. They had wildly, flamboyant marketing tactics of, let's kick Intel's ass and all this stuff, and let's fight back for the Mac. And they really did not sit well with Apple's and Steve Jobs' opinion of how things were going. And so, Apple bought them out in stock and I think some cash, and they actually ended up supporting the machines. If you go to the Wayback Machine on the Internet Archive and you go to the support section of Apple, there's actually updates for the clones of that Power Computing made because they were now, fully owned by Apple. But from what I understood, there was a very brief period of time that they did offer, they did extend an OS 8 license to Power Computing, and I think at one point they tried to remove it from them, but I think a few discs and a few updates still got out. I don't have a version of Mac OS 8 that shipped with this, although the owner of this Power Computing one had the disc in there, and I asked him about that, and he said he ended up just purchasing the disc, as an update. But so that's the very long answer to your question about that. But that's essentially how they got everybody sort of, look, here, you either use Mac OS 8 and that's it, or the end of the clone program is coming anyway, so you're sort of out of luck.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was someone sort of dreamed that one up, didn't they? I mean, it was quite cunning in a way, like, let's just move the goalposts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was totally my understanding of the story too. And I told you, again, like, another thing, let me grab a book.
Sure.
Another thing that reminds me of is like how Mac OS 8 was, we, like, for those in the know, Mac OS 8 was never meant to be Mac OS 8. It was meant to be the project with the codename Copeland, which of course turned into an absolute disaster. And one of the nice little artifacts I have from that little bit of time is that this is the book that Apple wrote and published for people, for developers to learn about Mac OS 8, the original Mac OS 8 that was actually going to come out and never did.
Wow.
And so this is all about Copeland and not about Mac OS 8. And then, of course, it got scrapped. And then, we got the actual other Mac OS 8. So I don't really know. It's called Mac OS 8 Revealed, a technical tour of the new Mac OS.
Wow.
And I can't, it's all still sealed. Yeah, I can't tell you the date on this, but it's like, proper Addison Wesley, Apple Press.
What's the author on it?
Tony Francis, who's been with Apple for over 10 years as a lead writer on the Inside Macintosh team.
Ooh.
And it's got a CD-ROM in it that I believe has the fake demo that's shown on Computer Chronicles. Because the episode of Computer Chronicles, where have you seen that, where they demo Mac OS 8
wait.
on Computer Chronicles?
Yeah.
And it's clearly a video or something running on the Mac, because the guy is like not moving the mouse and the cursor's like moving around and clicking on all sorts of stuff. And I'm pretty sure that that video is on this CD-ROM as well. I can't remember how I know that. I think it's just from research.
That's awesome. I actually just found on archive.org someone has a scan of that book by the looks of it.
Oh, brilliant!
So
everyone can.
I just sent
brilliant.
you the link to that, and I just opened it here.
That's it.
Let's see if there's anything. I mean, you don't have the CD there, unfortunately, but
Yeah, sorry, it's sealed inside.
Never to be opened.
I have got a plan, which is this is something. If I ever do my own YouTube streams or channels or whatever, my plan is to basically do a series of videos where I just unseal things and try them out.
Well, you would out-subscribe me in an hour. Because that stuff is awesome.
Yeah. So I will if I ever get around to it, I will let everyone know, because I just think there's no point having stuff sealed, right? And also, loads of the time, the plastic wrap is like crushing the box anyway.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
So should totally, and I think it's fun, you know, like everyone gets to see the original contents of the box and all that stuff, and you know, there's no reason
I like
to stay sealed.
I like this here. If you're a developer, the best way to begin preparing a product that takes advantage of macOS 8 event model is to separate the code and blah, blah. It's just like this long... I mean, this is definitely not for somebody who is just a fan of Apple stuff. This is for a developer. This is straight up for a developer here. It looks like...
Yeah, I don't think you or I will...
benefit much.
Will be... Yeah, I don't think we're going to be diving into that. Okay.
Oh yes, the Gizmo theme. That is excellent. Yeah, that's what I remember from the macOS 8 tour disc. That was basically it was like
Gizmo.
Yeah, there were those themes in there. Now, I think that was a later demo than what the one that might have been in your CD was, I think.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? That macOS 8 tour disc? I think it's on Macintosh Garden.
Maybe that's the one that's shown on Computer Chronicles.
Yeah, because there's.
But it's definitely exactly the same thing, because I've seen it in two places. I saw it on Computer Chronicles, and I saw it somewhere else, and I was like, oh, the dude on Computer Chronicles from Apple is demoing macOS 8 because like it didn't work, and so they faked it.
Oh man.
So yeah, and it's it was all a messed up project. And talking on other things that were like didn't go great, like this is really amusing. Like this came yesterday. It's this is Mac Format magazine, which I think again is a UK magazine. I think there was like a couple other localizations in Europe, but I don't think it was in America. And Mac Format was quite fun, and this is from August '98, and it's got a whole article about Gil Amelio's 500 Days at Apple, which I'm really looking forward to reading.
Yeah, he released a book that's probably promoting that.
Yeah, it's based on his book. Yeah,
oh, wow.
It's basically promoting his book, I'm looking forward to reading that. I sort of feel sorry for him because he did loads of stuff to like fix the mess he inherited.
Yeah,
and I think he didn't turn things around, but I don't think he made them worse. But he inherited like bad things.
Yeah, there's and I talked about this with Ken of the Computer Clan, and I might even mention it to you the last time we were talking about clones. But there was this awkward, cringy video on YouTube of Gil Amelio when they're introducing the 20th anniversary Macintosh, and Gil has Steve Jobs on stage. And if anybody has seen this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. First off, you know, Gil is just sitting there by the podium, and he looks like he's being paid by, like, the year to just stand there, and he's, like, waiting for, like, the time to run out. And he's just kind of like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he's just going over his presentation. He's umming and ahhing. He's not really that, you know, charismatic. And
he's definitely not charismatic.
Yeah, and then Steve Jobs is talking about, like, the future of the Mac OS and Next and all this great stuff. And they bring it back to Gil, and he's like, oh, yeah, well, I think that's about it. And then all of a sudden it segues into this cringy introduction of the 20th anniversary Macintosh, which both Woz and Steve look at like, okay. The demo doesn't work right. You go find it on YouTube. It's awkwardly hilarious. If you want to feel better about your presentation skills, just take a look at that.
The 20th anniversary Macintosh is such a weird...
Oh, it is.
I mean, firstly, it was late, right?
Yeah.
For like... And, I mean, I guess it's... Wait, what was it? 77... It was out in 97, but it wasn't... No, so it was... I didn't quite understand it, because it was 20th anniversary of Apple.
Yeah.
Macintosh, but I don't think it actually made it in time for that because it was like the middle of the year. And that,
Yeah, they
isn't it April?
I remember the page and the marketing. They were supposed to do it, I think, by the end of that current year, so it would be in time for '97. But I think
Okay.
whatever happened, it ended up not missing the margin, which was typical Apple at the
and
time.
then it's not a particularly good computer for a like ludicrously high price. And like I don't know, like I get the kind of like sort of lifestyle computer thing, but yeah. And I've only used one once in a museum in Cambridge over here, and I mean, there's nothing particularly remarkable about it. I guess it's kind of interesting to see a PowerBook trackpad on a desktop machine, and it's kind of weird because it's a keyboard with this trackpad that you can sort of put in and take out, and like there's a lot of weird stuff to design that makes it a bit more interesting, but it's still just like
yeah, the whole design of it is an interesting product and everything. And
yeah, it stands alone in its own class of sort of weirdness.
And now I feel bad because we're seeing in the chat that apparently there's a video about the worst Apple keynote ever by Mikkel H. And he goes into the detail about the background of why that presentation, an introduction of that Mac was so horrible. Apparently the prompters crashed and he only had outline cards. So I take that back because that's going to happen to me one day, and I'm going to be like, this is karma coming back to haunt me. So sorry, Gil. I feel you.
I haven't done any public speaking for quite some years, but it is pretty full on when you do it. But the main thing I've learned is just practice the hell out of it.
Yes.
Like really a lot. So should we move on to looking at some computers, or we can do something else first?
No, we could. I just want to address.
What do you reckon?
I just want to address the comment of the Power Macintosh 6500 shoved into a fancy dress for the tab, because that is my feeling of it exactly. It's a fantastic
also, I don't
dress.
really like the 60. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the 6400 and 6500. Their design is weird. They were actually I was going to say they were mediocre computers, but actually, as far as all those performers went, they were probably, I think, the best ones.
Yeah.
But that weird sort of, I couldn't work out what was going on with that design ever.
Yeah.
My friend's mum had one, and so I saw one in person at the time, and I was like, what is the weird blobbiness on the top? I think, did you put a zip drive, or was that where the CD drive went? I can't remember.
I think the CD drive was on the front, and it flipped forward. And then, but you had the back of the machine. If you wanted peripheral cards, you had to snap on this other back that came with it that made it like have a backpack.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about the time. I was talking about the 6500.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, both of them are weird.
Yeah, so the 6500, I'm looking at a 6400 on my shelf right there. And so you have what...
You can just describe to me.
You have what people nicely call the forehead, which was if you had like a data drive, like a SideQuest drive or a Jazz drive or whatever, you could theoretically, or a DAT drive, you could get a thing for that. But below there, the CD drive is already in there. So it's nice to have that expansion bay, but it just looks so silly.
In the chat, Tam is more of a PowerBook 3400C smashed into a shower curtain. I like it. So are we just going to all argue about, like, how to describe the mess?
I'm all for it. That's the subject of today's episode. No. So did you want to what would you like to do next? We're very professional here and
yeah. So Steve and I don't have a plan, but we have a vague outline idea.
Just like Emilio's cards.
Yeah, we lost the prompter. It stopped working.
Yeah, that darn prompter.
So, I've got one of the first clones, and I could talk a bit about it. I think, it's one of those things where it's like, I was about to say, it's just a computer. It's not that exciting, but like, it sort of depends on your point of view of like, because most of the population feel that way. I guess we're a bit different, but also like, I'm like both excited by having this because it was something I looked for ages and really wanted one. And I can't even massively recall why, but at the same time, it's like so like mediocre. There's like nothing exciting about it at all. What I could do is I'll start with Mac users' review of it from the time.
Take us back.
And then we'll actually have a look at it. So this is British Mac User magazine. This is a fun issue because it's the 10th anniversary of Mac User,
Ooh.
which is 7th of July 1995. This would have set you back £2.50 at the time. I was just a teenager at the time. What's really fun is they, without digressing too much, which is one of our main features of what we do, they do have this really fun timeline of
that's cool.
Mac User and Macintosh stuff. Well, they go. So yeah, they're basically they go through each year according to Mac User, and all the things that happened, and then they have a timeline at the bottom what was happening in the world at the time. So it's year by year. And then there's 1986, and they have a cover of a contemporary cool. Mac User of the time. So yeah, it's just goes through, and they talk about the Macs that came out that year, the software that came out. So this one, 1986, Microsoft Excel launches.
Oh wow!
And we've got the royal wedding down here of Prince Andrew, who we won't talk about him. He's a very bad. He's a very, very bad person. So it just keeps going. So that's one of the fun things. Oh, and there's a Dynamac in '87. There's
nice.
Our old friend.
That's right.
There we go. That's fun, isn't it? Nice to see.
Is yours a little bit less sad now?
Yeah. I haven't got around to fixing it totally yet. I should do that. And then down here, little hero of mine, Bill Atkinson.
Nice.
As far as I have heroes, wearing a little Mac shirt. So anyway, that's just so obviously we're 11 years on from the Mac and 10 years on from Mac User. So this is the article. So what's interesting is it's actually called here the Radius System 100.
Yes,
and
I've heard that name quite a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just read the intro. So the Radius System 100, the first clone seen on British shores, although not available to buy here or in its native US where all the units are already spoken for, is effectively a PowerMac 8100-110 in a bigger box with a Radius Thunder 4 GX1600 card and FWB SCSI Jackhammer card pre-installed and bundled with utilities and a full version of Photoshop. And basically, I think they made a few thousand, and it was just meant to be high-end Photoshop machine, and that was it. And they were basically selling to all their customers that were already buying 21-inch Radius monitors and other stuff that Radius specialized in. Radius really ended up on a point where they were just making stuff for people doing video and graphics, and it was all high-end peripherals and accelerators and all sorts of stuff. I've got a Radius Rocket. Those are the kind of things making. Obviously, the Radius Rocket was basically a whole Mac on a card.
Yeah.
Which kind of is it basically it was a clone, but got around it by using the Mac it was in. But when you're running a Radius Rocket in your Mac, you're running a Mac inside a Mac. It's totally bonkers. That is quite fun to do.
A friend of mine, our friend Bruce from Vegas Creations has a Radius Rocket, and that is something that I always wanted to play around with. I hear they're very interesting.
They're so cool, and I was just lucky a bunch of years ago, 5 or 10 years ago. I think it was Dan Knight who runs low end Mac was selling off a whole bunch really cheap, and so I managed to buy one from him.
Wow!
So that was exciting. So yeah, anyway, so they gave it a review, and so I'll read I'm not going to read the whole review, though. But basically, the last paragraph says, before the PowerMac 9500, this probably represented the ultimate Mac workstation, but now Apple has signaled its intention to retake the high ground. What niche can this type of machine find? So basically, it was an 8100 was the top of the range, 110 megahertz 601, but then the 9500 comes out, and that's the first 604, and so it just absolutely smashes it. And they say, pros, it's a deluxe graphics workstation, cheaper than the sum of its parts. Cons is still just a rebadged Mac, not sufficiently forward-looking, and you can't buy it in the UK anyway. And they also note that it's kind of a bummer that it doesn't look as cool as the dark grey prototypes, which I agree with too. But the wavy line on the front just makes it look so badass, I think.
Oh, that is. I do really like the case, and my friend Dana from the Mac Yak podcast, he has a Radius, whatever the final shipping version of that was, that you could actually get your hands on. And he actually played around with it, but it was just he was having problems with it. He just said, I'm not going to use it right now. But he was trying to do. We did like a 68K PowerPC challenge of earlier in the year, like to try and use those machines for a week. And he was just setting it up and had so many issues with it. He's like, never mind, choose a different machine.
When all you want to do is like run a bit of software, and then you realize that actually you're going to have to replace all the capacitors, rebuild the whole machine, find some memory that works, realize none of your video cards are the right type.
You're speaking like you have some experience in this area.
Bid on some eBay auctions for the parts that are missing.
Forget you ordered some, misplaced them, order the same ones again.
And then you're like, what was it I set out to do?
Oh, that's right. I just wanted to play this game. Yeah.
Yeah, last night I wanted to try out some software that I just got in the post, and I got my Radius clone out to do for ready for today, and I was like, I could just try the software on that. Press the CD drive button, and nothing happened, and I'm like, oh. And so then I spent last night basically refitting the CD-ROM drive, but everything works now.
Good.
So that's good. So here it is. I haven't thought about how I'm going to shoot this properly. I'm going to turn on my light.
We're getting fancy here.
My really rubbish. Yeah, I don't have any proper lights to.
As if I
wish
do.
I did. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know how to do a tour of this. What I might do is flip the camera around. Has that worked?
Yeah, there we go.
I think that's worked. Right.
You're full screen now.
And I'm going to make this wireless. So that's just the AEK board. Right. So here it is. So this is it. So after they did the System 100, but then they kept going, and the next thing they released was basically exactly the same machine, but it's called the 8100/110. You can see a label there.
And was that the speed bumped? That was also the speed bumped 8100, right? So they were just using the same board again.
Pretty much. And the System 100, I think the only difference is it doesn't have this label. I think it's just got a flat case there. But then really the most fun thing is this kind of like wavy line down there and these holes. I mean, it is definitely designed to look, powerful or something. And it's pretty basic though. You just got your CD drive, you got your floppy drive. I'm not sure if these panels separately come off, and someone at some point, this whole front comes off because someone at some point basically just ripped the front off because they couldn't work out how to get in the case. And I was telling Steve earlier, I had to Google how to open the case because you do just take a few screws off the back, but then you can't get to the drives at all. Like, you can see them inside. I mean, we can open this up after if you want, and you can see the drives, but to actually remove CD drive, it has to come out forward. So you're behind this is metal. So look, I'll just take this off because it just comes off anyway. Because basically they've broken. You can see there's plastic standoffs, and they're meant to clip in. So yeah, it's your standard boring computer. It's just got a plastic front, and then the rest of it is pretty serious metal. Like, you could definitely kill a man with this case.
And we're already getting people drooling in the chat, including Kai. Who's eyeing your Spark Station hiding behind your system.
Is there a Spark Station
whatever fancy thing that you have that looks like it?
There are two Spark Stations in here, but they're both the other side of the room.
Oh,
look, there's one here at the bottom, which is an unbranded clone Spark Station.
Wow, he has a good eye.
Yeah, I don't know how you saw that. And then this is my Voyager, which I briefly showed on a previous chat with Steve, and it's now working. I figured out what all the problems were, and it now runs Macintosh application environment and its beautiful black and white screen. And actually, Macintosh application environment is running on this in color as well.
Awesome.
There's a Spark Station 5 in there. But look, I like it. It's good. I'm glad that our viewers are helping us make digressions. Any other digressions, just request anything you spot.
I love
it's pretty standard.
The bezel of the. There's just something about the floppy disk bezel where it's just very square. It has like the indents, but like it's so square. It's just like no.
We really cut that out what we need to.
Yeah.
But and this is like I was also saying Steve earlier. This is like so typical of these cases. I opened it up last night to change the CD-ROM drive and immediately cut my hand on metal inside. Let's just have a little look inside it because it isn't super exciting, but we could do a quick tour of it. In terms of what was on it, there's basically nothing on it. The only exciting feature is the custom Radius desktop pattern.
That is beautiful, though. I mean, look at that.
there's nothing special. This is just, it's running 751, which is what it came with,
and
I
it
think.
just identifies as the Power Macintosh because it's actually using the Power
Yeah.
Macintosh board. So there's nothing
Yeah.
there's nothing too different.
Yeah. And I'm afraid I don't have any like diagnostic software on here that can show us all the specs, but it's just an 8100
Yeah.
with what's it, 114 megs of RAM, whatever that is. And I don't think there's anything special in here. I installed a couple of kids games yesterday for my son. This is a folder called Radius Extras, and this happened a lot with clones. FWB Toolkit and hard disk, CD-ROM and hard disk toolkit often came with clones.
Yeah.
They clearly set up deals with people. And there's a README from Radius, which we can have a quick read of. Congratulations, it starts with. You are one of the first to receive a Radius 8100-110. First, we thank you for your commitment and support. Your Radius 81/110 system has been pre-configured to provide you with the best possible performance. Before starting, please explore the user's manual. I don't have it, so it's kind of a bummer. And then the notes are, please look in the system readmes folder for the latest information. Remember to set the date, time, and time zone information in the data time control panel. Some local talk connectors are physically not compatible with the case. If you encounter any problems starting up, refer to the manual. Like bizarre advice that seems sort of somewhat obvious to me, but there you go. And then at the bottom they say, we want to make sure you are successful. Technical support is available to you in a variety of ways. We're not going to call the phone number. We've done too many phone calls. Not today, Steve.
Damn.
And then lastly, if there is any other way we can help you, let us know. June 19th, 1995.
Wow.
So right at the beginning of the clones. Absolute first off the bat.
And this is a clone in pure aesthetics, just the case of it, and some fancy I guess a graphics card and a SCSI card, but that's about it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because it's the 8110 on not System 100, I have no fancy cards in there at all. Yeah, I know, it's kind of a bummer. I would love the Radius Thunder GX4 or whatever it's called, because it's actually a pretty good card.
I have a PCI Radius card. I cannot tell you the model of it, but I bought it in a lot of some stuff off eBay, so I'll have to check that out and let you know.
So here we go. Let's get out. There we go. That was an Apple AUI connector.
Oh, those are good.
Just do not let it go. They have those little teeth on them.
Oh yeah, and I have a lot of the. Is that the one where it actually has the little levers, or not?
Yeah, either side. Yeah, and you pull it and they kind of let go, but only if they want to.
Yeah, exactly. And I have some that actually don't have those levers, so it's just like you have to use your mind control to like let it to come out.
All right, so I haven't planned how I'm going to do this whatsoever, but let's just have some fun. So firstly, I read in an article that this came with coasters as an option.
Really?
Like the like the Mac Pro, because it actually weighs loads.
So you could
really
could
heavy.
actually put wheels on it.
Yes.
Wow.
That's so heavy.
OpenTalk is not responsible for any back surgeries that our guests have to go through.
Yes. So here's the back of it. We've got Radius 80. Can you see? Yeah. Oh no, can't quite see this. Let's take it back a bit more. There we go. Is that better?
Oh, fancy.
There we go. Can you tell I have no idea what I'm doing?
No,
so
it's seamless.
We got Radius, Sunnyvale, California, assembled in the USA. Radius 81/110. We've got the macOS license really cool. Logo there. By the way, don't tell anyone this, but it's authorized for use in the US only. So do not tell Radius that I've done this.
Hold on, let me type an email here.
We've got. Can you see the whole back? You can. Great. Yeah. So you can see it's just an 8100. We've even got like the exact same like power on button here that you can lock in for when there's power failure. SCSI, AUI port, monitor port. It can drive I think up to 1152 by 870 at 256 colors. It's like not particularly. It's like you can get a bigger display, but it's not super impressive. And that's onboard video, and I don't know how good the 8100's onboard video is. And then we've got your modem and your printer ports, got your ADB, sound and all the standard stuff. And then we've got four slots, but only three of them are, the bottom three are new bus, and the top one is the PDS. And that currently has a HPV card in it that I'm pretty sure doesn't work, which I'm kind of bummed about, because I got that to go in my 9150 that I wanted to try out with, and I thought it was just that the 9150 didn't like it, but it doesn't work in this either, so it clearly is screwed. So that sucks.
And what do you know what type of card that is? I'm sorry, I missed that. Is it a
HPV, which is a hilarious acronym that is one of those sort of marketing things, because HPV stands for high performance video, but actually it's only high performance compared to the onboard video of the 6100, 7100, 8100. I think the AV card, I don't know if the AV card had the same performance or better, but obviously it had video in. But the advantage of the HPV card as well is you could, if you got the 8100s one, you could get up to 4 megabytes of VRAM on there, which would have provided some meaty power.
I have the one with the video in socket that I got not long ago.
Oh yeah, so that's the AV card.
So I want to play around with that. I haven't installed it yet.
Kai says the AV card was awful. Okay, well there we go. I suspected as such.
I fully expect it to be awful because I read so many horrible things about it, but I am a sucker for video input devices, and so I just thought, you know what, $20, I'll get it.
Yeah, on my with PowerMax, I would generally use a video card. Extra, like the PowerMax that have onboard video, I would generally use a proper video card, not the weird Apple crap. But the PDS slot has to have something in it. They're very clear about that in their manuals and stuff. But so you can either have the PDS Terminator, which is kind of like a dummy card, or you can have a HPV or AV card. But what's weird is this actually worked completely fine. When I bought it, it had nothing in that slot, and it doesn't seem to cause it any problems. So I don't know why they're like, it's one of those things where they write it in caps. They're like, you must make sure of this. Anyway, whatever. So once you've undone these three screws on the back, you can slide this backwards about a centimeter or half an inch if you're still stuck in the past. And
ouch!
This metal. I know, I can't resist that. Sorry, I can't resist. This metal plate, it's like a couple of millimeters thick, but this alone you could really cause damage with.
So that is weapon part one of this device.
Yeah, this is an armored Mac. It really is. So you'll note these two interesting things down here. Like I couldn't work out what these were until last night. I realized what they're for. These are little thumb screws, and what it is for some reason they really want to make sure that your card's staying. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see fine.
See that? Yeah. So those thumb screws basically hold a metal plate on here that holds a metal plate behind it that holds in all the cards. So I guess no one could steal your... No, I don't really know. I don't understand. Like, it just makes it really, really hard to take your cards out, because you basically have to undo these, take out these two bits, and then you can take your cards out. But to take your cards out, you also have to undo this here with another thumb screw. I mean, what is really nice is everything being made out of metal. Like, you're not going to have that miserable thing of like all the Power Macs from Apple where, every time you open it, another bit of plastic snaps off and you're like totally bummed about it.
Well, I'll have you know that APS took cues from Radius and have a ridiculous amount of screws required to get out the cards on that machine. So.
Yeah, it's a real faff, isn't it? So looking inside, can I light this in any useful...
So Kai is saying the reason for the Terminator is the 601 bus expects to be terminated, else you end up with potential issues in bus echo, a bit like what happens without a SCSI Terminator. Okay,
that makes total sense, Kai. So I do have it terminated now with a card that doesn't even work, so there we go. But if anyone's got an HPV card that works, especially an 8100 one that takes 4 megs of RAM, I am interested.
So the HPV card is doing its job of just terminating things.
Yeah,
including
really
your hopes
expensive.
And dreams.
Yeah, mate, seriously. So we've got a power supply up here. What I've just noticed just now is the sticker on it says Apple 200. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know what that's about because and it was made in Italy. Seems a bit over the top by a company called Magnatech. And that is in its own ridiculous metal box. And behind here, you can't really see any of the juicy stuff because behind here, the CPU is actually behind this. What I realized yesterday as well, the CPU has the, I've forgotten the technology. It's the technology where if you run a current through a conductor and I think an insulator, you get a kind of piezo effect where it cools.
Oh, yes,
You can cool or heat things. And then you got that on the higher speed 601s as an extra coolant alongside a fan and the heatsink. So it has one of those weird devices in. The first time I saw one was in my 9150 120. The 9150 80 megahertz doesn't have it because it doesn't need it. So anyway, so we've got the 601 is hidden behind here. There's the ROM slot here. There's another slot which I can't remember what it's. Oh, it's cache SIM. There's a cache SIM.
Oh, okay.
And then the RAM is hiding behind here, behind the kind of drive cage.
Easy access.
Yeah, and everything wants to cut you in here. And then we've got the speaker at the front, and then here we've got the drive bay. So top, obviously CD-ROM. Next one down, we've got floppy, and then we've got two bays here, and the hard disk in the bottom one. And you could definitely put another hard disk in there. I'm not sure if it would be accessible. It kind of has got a cutout in the outer bit, but I don't know how accessible it is. And then here's the official way of opening, getting the front off. I'll show you. You take a screwdriver. This is what it says, and there's a notch up here, and you basically just twist it.
Oh, geez. There you go.
Push it, and then the front comes off. And then you can basically take your drives out or whatever if you need to. And you'll see here, these are both screwed on. So presumably you could have that one accessible at least. This one wouldn't be accessible because there's be plastic in front of it. And then this is like the case is like bent and welded and everything together. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That is a one way to build an 8100.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I'm never going to have the thing that owners of 8100s are sad about, which is that their bezels just sort of disintegrate and disappear. Like, because I'm always going to have this ridiculous thing. Well, is that on? You have to put it on a special.
It looks like Kai has offered you one of the cards you're looking for.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, is Kai in the UK as well?
That's a good question. I have no idea. I didn't ask. even though he's going to be awesome and he's going to be on the show tomorrow, I have not asked his location.
Oh, amazing!
I know the time zone, but don't ask me off the top of my head.
Do you want to preview the show, the tomorrow's show?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's in the UK. Look at the chat there.
Hey, there we go. Easy peas.
Awesome.
All right, Kai, hit me up on Twitter, and let's sort it out. You'll make me happy. Thank you. And I think that's pretty much it. I think Radius did this, and it didn't work out for them. They couldn't make it work in terms of money, and I think the main problem they had wasn't to do with the clones necessarily, and I think it was they had. I'm going to swap my camera around now. They had overspent on everything else. I think they were having just general financial troubles, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I haven't swapped it around at all. Come on, there we go. Sorry,
you're back.
Technology. Yay! I think they had general financial troubles, and they basically cut down their business to the stuff that had the profit margins on it. I think they stopped making I can't remember what it is, but basically some of their stuff made money, some of it didn't make so much. And I think basically the idea of developing clones, the R&D behind that is massive. And unless you're able to sell them at the high end, where you're directly competing with Apple, and make that profit margin, I just don't think it was worth it for them. And so that's why they sold. That's why they sold off the clone business, and they also sold off the Supermac brand, I think, additionally. And I think that was a kind of bundle that they sold onto Umax, basically, was the impression I got. But then Umax did a really great job.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Really interesting.
I mean, they basically ran with it, and they were one of the last. I believe they were the last clone manufacturer that I recall in existence, basically, because Power Computing was bought by Apple and they were supported, but Umax up until I think July of '97 or '98 or whatever that was, they were liquidating their products. So yeah, I mean, the program ended, but I think they were one of the last ones alive. So it was very fascinating.
Yeah. And like, I think I'd like to. I'm pretty sure they hung around because basically they were innovating. They were doing interesting stuff. Like insofar as you could, I think it was quite difficult. I don't think there was that much room to innovate when you're like you're not leading the platform in a way. But like Umax did make really good computers with features that other Mac clones didn't have.
Yeah.
And they made them very high performance and very expandable and for a really good price. And today, our fourth clone, that was the first, our fourth will be a Umax one that is a high-end one, and we can talk a bit about that.
Sure.
Do you want to move on to the next one and show yours?
Yeah, let's do it. But thank you so much for showing.
I'm going to put some screws in.
Yeah, you go put some screws in. I'll do full screen for a second here. Let me go this way. Here we go. And let me just get my window ready. We're doing this live, so this is what you get. I'm pushing all sorts of the wrong buttons here. There we go. I just want to make sure we're full screen here. There we go. Get rid of that header. I did not know the HPV cards were there's ones that don't play nice with others. That's frustrating. But anyway, so here is the second clone I've ever gotten. So the first clone I got is a Umax APS 2000. I think it's known in the US as the C500 or C600. It's a very slim profile machine. And it's essentially similar to this, and we'll explain that in a little bit. But let me... Oh, my goodness. So this is small, but it's a bit heavy. So... there we go. So, as it catches on my shirt, this is the front of the system. And I'll try and get it all in frame here. What's interesting is this is labeled as a PowerCenter Pro 180. And based on what I was able to find out about this machine, Power Computing actually reserved the Pro for their towers later on. So this was at some junction in the company where they actually sold a desktop as one of their Pros. And I believe the one of the ones that sold in this case before this was called the Power Wave, and then there was one called the Power Curve. So they had a lot of different names and such that they went on through the years. But this was one of their attempts here. This is by no means one of the earliest. This is sort of a later model, and I'm gonna move this here. I'm gonna just try and get the second camera in here, see if it wants to cooperate today. Oops, as I almost dropped the thing off the tripod. We'll see if this wants to cooperate here. Let's see if I go select my camera. We're gonna cross our fingers here, see if it wants to work. And yeah, I think that worked. Okay, so pardon the weird view here, but this is... Let me move the camera a little bit down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
UK were like a computer dealer who basically did the Motorola sub-licensing thing.
Yeah.
And so I think Power Computing are like, actually there was one, I think PiOS, but they didn't last very long. I think PiOS were in Germany. I think I actually have a magazine article about them somewhere here, which I could dig out. But I'm pretty sure Power Computing were one of the only ones set up for it, and they were like actually successful as well. So that's another big difference.
Sorry, we cut off your audio there for a moment while I was switching around things. So,
sorry.
But if anything was unclear in the chat, just let me know. That's my fault. I pressed the wrong button here because I'm trying to do 5 things at once, but that's my own bad. But no, yeah, that is a very, very interesting point to make, because when Power Computing decided they were no longer gonna be in the clone business because Apple forced their hand, they were trying to focus on PC stuff. They were just gonna do monitors and systems. Power Computing sold monitors, keyboards, mice, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
And so yeah, this is one of the I guess it's
you mean
one
like
of the,
you bought a package? Like
yeah, you could buy a package.
I see. Okay, so like a whole system. I guess like for a normal home user, they probably do. They don't want to think about it. They're just like, I'll have that one with the 15-inch monitor and the.
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
And a lot of the articles that were promoting these to be sold and everything, they were completely, hey, buy this. This is your one package here. This is exactly what you're going to get, and this is going to be supported by us. You're going to have everything you need. This is, where to go. We're going to support you. And if you have a problem, let us know, and this and that. So that is...
They were sort of trying to out-Apple in
exactly.
a way.
They were trying to do that. And I'm going to try and squeeze you in as a small little window here. as I'm
going to go very small.
You're going to be very small. I'm going to try and resolve that issue where we lost your audio there for a second. So let's, because I don't want to screw this up next time. There we go. Let's.
Like in the chat, so much tangential content lost.
Yes.
Luckily, there's loads of that rubbish.
Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Tomorrow morning we'll still be talking.
Yeah.
If we don't watch out.
So you're floating there. Well, I can move you anywhere I want.
Oh, there I am in the corner.
Hey, we'll put you on the top so you're looking over me. So there we go. So here's the this is a Power Computing PowerCenter Pro 180. Wrong way. Turn around.
Oh,
You're the...
Every time I could never get it right. I knew I was going to get it wrong when I did
Kai
that.
is looking at us and he's like, there's no way I'm participating in this tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry, Kai.
So this is what the back of it looks like. So when I got this machine, these 2 ports were empty here. It had this SCSI card in there as an option. Let me bring this a little closer. There we go.
SCSI 2, man.
Yeah,
whoa,
so
the throughput on that.
I know.
Think of the megabytes.
The theoretical megabytes, yeah.
Yeah.
So it has a standard PC power supply. We're going to open it up in a minute. Thankfully, this does not have as much of a risk to destroy my hands. We have both DB15 and VGA, although they're wired up to the same port, so you can't do dual monitors or anything. But what's interesting is that VGA does not seem to like the Sony monitor I have, so I still have to use a DB15 adapter. We have a regular SCSI port. We have the 2 serials. We do have a nice option of we have built-in Ethernet and an AUI port. So this was part of the boards that Apple was designing for clone manufacturers at the time. And we have ADB sound out and sound in and sound out. Now there are 3 PCI card slots here. The first one, this is that was it SCSI 2? One that or Ultra SCSI, whatever, super duper SCSI.
Some kind of SCSI.
And
it's
then
all ridiculous.
I had to put in here a Asante Fast Ethernet card because the built-in Ethernet here does not like my gigabit switch here in the basement. And when I tried to connect it to the network, it would take down the entire internet in my house. It would say,
really good.
It would say, you know what? Yeah, that all that routing and stuff you're doing, that's not important. Let's just confuse everything, and it would just take it all down.
Brilliant.
So,
thanks, Power Computing.
Exactly. So we're gonna
Intel's ass. And yours. And your internet.
Yeah, kicking your internet's ass. That's gonna be a meme on Reddit tomorrow. So although it looks like there's a spare bay here, the hard drive is actually hidden behind there. So
man, that's such a swizz.
I know. So we have the CD drive, we have the hard drive, and we have the floppy drive.
You would be just imagine if you're a kid though, like scraping all your money together, and you're like, yes, I can get the zip drive in as well, and then it's like, no, mate. Or I can get my magneto optical drive in that I'm super pumped about. You reminded me when we were talking about the Apple motherboard there, by the way. I forgot to show the Radius clone. The motherboard is, I'm pretty sure it's just an 8100 motherboard, but the silk screening doesn't say Apple copyright. I mean, it might say it somewhere I can't see, but it says it's got Radius silk screened onto it. Yeah. So it's like, which I thought was interesting because you see a range of these things. Like sometimes, do you see like Tanzania written on some of them because there's the Tanzania boards? Maybe?
Yes. So this one says. This one actually is, we were talking a little bit before about how power computing had different names for these models. So on the outside, this is a PowerCenter Pro, okay? On the board, it's a PowerCenter Plus. So
I guess
they could have used this board on many different products. That's my their reasoning.
Maybe they're going to market it as the Plus, and they were like, screw it. Like everyone thinks the PowerCenter Pro sounds awesome already, so let's just use that. That sounds like a marketing decision to me.
It does. So we have a processor card here, which is a 180 megahertz, 60 megahertz bus, I believe. So that's the card that is installed. So it is a removable processor card. I have put a G3 one in here just for fun, but the stock one is back in there. I'll explain the weird cabling of everything in a second, but let's get a higher-up view here. So you can see, here's the floppy drive. The CD-ROM drive is here. The hard drive is right under it. Power supply here, labeled as a power computing, and that's the specs of this. What is this? This is a what? I don't even know. It gives you power. 145 watts. There you go.
Electrons move.
Electrons.
It's awesome. There's probably a loud fan somewhere in there.
Here's
drying out.
There's a fan right here. It's a little dusty inside because this thing actually used to sit right under here. Before January when I was filming my clone series, this has the perfect clearance to sit under here and have a keyboard on top of it.
Sweet.
And so it was perfectly sitting in here, and this was my bridge machine for a lot. But let's look over here, and there's a few interesting things going on. So this is the SCSI card. This came stock in this machine in this configuration. There's a nice little red LED light there, and I'm gonna bring my flashlight here to get some.
I love how you point out the red LED.
I didn't know it was there. I was so excited when I found it. I'm like, ooh, it blinks.
This is that kind of thing that reminds me, like how much like little kids we are when we're like, oh, there's a light inside.
It blinks.
I don't normally see. It blinks.
So I'm gonna take this SCSI cable out of the way so we could better see.
I think we should run a poll. Like, who is the biggest dork?
It's gonna unfortunately be in one of our favors. That's. So this has quite a few interesting things I learned about it over the years. So this is the SCSI card at the top that came with it. I have my Asante card in there. Now you'll see there's an ATI logo here. So the onboard graphics are ATI based. This is a Rage 2, so it's a 3D Rage 2.
Whoa.
The first revision, the revision A IMAX, came with the 3D Rage 2C. So this is one level, I guess, below that.
Do those chips say magic silicon on them?
Yes, they do.
So whoa, you've got magic in your computer.
I know.
Actual
and what's
magic.
cool is the individual I bought this from, and I have the paperwork for it, confirms that this card has 2 megabytes of video memory instead of 1. So I guess it was expanded, and it looks like we have the ability to solder on some more if we're brave enough.
Well, you got to do it.
Yeah, I think so. But what's interesting is, so there's I'm just looking. There it is. So there's your 3 PCI slots here. Now, we were talking about Umax before, and I said I had a very similar Umax style case. The Umax riser card here, because that's what they call this. This is a riser card. The Umax riser card actually has a floppy disk port on here too.
Oh.
So theoretically, that Umax has 2 floppy ports, and I'm very curious if you could actually run 2 floppy drives on it. That's maybe something I'll have to figure out. But
you can make it like an SE. But
yeah, exactly.
I love it. Brilliant.
So we have the ROM sim here. That's what this is right here. We have 4 slots for memory, and we have like 200 something megabytes in here. It came with 160 or something like that. Very PC style cables in the front here. So we have speaker, we have LED, reset, and interrupt and power and all that stuff. But then let's see if we could get a good view on this.
This looks just like my brother had a Umax APS, like yours, and it looks just like so similar.
Exactly.
Similar with the same layout.
So there's a cache sim under the floppy drive. You could maybe see it right in the middle of the screen there, and we have an emptied out SCSI header right there. So maybe you could put in another header in there if you want, but I don't know how that metal got in there. Was that tinfoil? I'll have to fix that. Anyway.
That is not good.
That's not good. Maybe that's why it didn't like me. But we have an external SCSI bus here, and so this cable is right for the CD-ROM drive, and that's where that plugs in there.
Steve, I've got a technical question. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer. Can you just get back the shot on the grill on the power supply there? If you can get it up nice and close on the grill on the power supply, that little opening. Yeah. What do you know? What species of spider made that spider web?
No, but now I'm
really
scared.
Not sure.
I'm scared. I don't like spiders.
Yeah, I can't tell. They might still be in there, Steve.
Yeah.
Might still be in the power supply.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm sure compared to the spiders in Australia and stuff, it's going to be fine.
This is like join our stream for a live removal of cobwebs and tinfoil from the inside of our computers.
I don't know how this got in here, to be honest. And there's little shreds. I don't know. Anyway, we'll clean that all up.
Wait a second. I think I've got some crumbs on the floor that I can sweep up as well.
You're making me laugh. I'm going to drop the camera. But
I'm sure I've got some dirt that I can show as well. No, I'm sorry. I can't help it. Keep going. I'm enjoying the tour. It's good.
So, where was I? So interestingly, this ultra wide SCSI cable has to route like this way, and then this is the yellow cable, and so the hard drive's under here, which unfortunately I had to replace. It was dead when I got the machine, but everything seems to be pretty sensational on here. It works pretty well. There is this little jack right there behind the monitor port. From what I understand, there was some output or upgradability for a lot of these types of boards there, and that little jack was like a video add-on type thing. Is that the GPIO thing? Yeah, I remember reading about like adapters for it. I just don't have the recollection in my head right now of what exactly you could do with that. But what I'm going to do is just put the camera down for a second. I'm going to actually take the CPU out, because there are these little clips that you just take out, and all they do is hold that card in place. But it's as easy as if you wanted to upgrade the processor on here, if it wants to.
Don't break it, Live.
It's just so easy. Now I'm going to get all the comments. Hey, you see that idiot that tried to remove the processor? There we go. You just got to rock it back and forth a bit. But it's that's dusty. But it looks like your typical.
Yeah, we can see, Steve.
Your typical.
Some of us clean our computers on the inside. I don't. I'm lying.
You're lying. So
I've never.
Neither have I.
Is this the 603 card?
Yeah. So no, this is I believe it is.
G3.
No, yeah, this is the 603.
This is the original.
Yeah. So this is Power Computing 1996 18060. So
okay.
I'm just showing this card because it looks just like Apple's, because it was very similar. So you can do a lot of swaps, with this. I put in a G3 card temporarily, but what I'm more curious of is, because these boards were so widely manufactured for different companies, look at all the fancy things you could have soldered on there, maybe for a second SCSI port, So that's what I get curious. Stuff on. Yeah, let's go.
There's spaces.
The spiders will sort it out. The spiders will sort it out and see what belongs and what doesn't. But yeah, so I'm gonna put this back together. We're gonna boot it up because this does work pretty well. We won't spend too much time on here because I know you have a machine.
We'll get there. The main feeling I'm left with about clones is they're just, because they were about saving money, like making things really cost effective and stuff like that. There's just not that much interesting about them.
The most interesting part is the case. With a lot of these, like the weird speakers on the Pioneer, and
I totally agree. Like, I think the main thing is like, how do they differentiate themselves? So often that's like the case design and some wacky feature, and then the other thing is maybe like you could swap the CPU, and because you were starting to get into a sort of more, there's a real step change in the kind of generation of computers around then, but like. Otherwise, you're just like, it's a plastic box with lots of metal. You're going to cut your hands. I guess what's missing is that kind of personality that all the Apple standard models have, which is for all sorts of reasons, not least of which is probably just hardware engineers tinkering and Apple letting them get on with it. Really.
Oh yeah. Will it ship on time? Yes. All right, do whatever the heck you want. We don't care.
Yeah, I look to my right and I've got a 2FX and I've got a Duodock and a Quadra 700, and I think the amount of affection or like things that conjures up in like Mac fans' minds is all sorts of things. The 2FX, oh my god, it was the fastest 030, like blazing fast, and it had all this crazy extra enhancements that no other Mac had.
Yeah.
All those supporting chipsets for things. And then the Quadra 700 is just beloved for, I don't really know why, but I was a bit obsessed with them before I got one. And like, they're kind of beautiful with their, like, they've got their funny little feet. They had their own custom video hardware that was, really good. And then like the Duodock is just weird as hell, and like in all sorts of ways. And like, but like with the clones, they're like either it's high performance or it's cheap. Is kind of what it comes down to. How much does it cut your hands?
That's what I'm sure there's a power computing ad out there somewhere that says it cuts your hand less than the radius.
Yeah. But like, I think it was like, how did they stand out? And like, I guess that's why. Because power computing were like a dedicated Mac business, like that's all they had. I think that probably explains why they had such a powerful brand and they went so hard in on like, we're going to kick Intel's ass and stuff. They were like, how do we stand out and be like not Apple, but like still have a place in the market. Apple are doing all the R&D. They're the flagship company. They're running the show really, but you've still got to make a viable business. You've got to have like a great brand really, and I think that's where they built it from. Whereas Umax, they didn't have a great brand, but they were sort of solid and dependable, like for professionals. Like they had their scanners and everything like that. Yeah. But they also did do very high performance machines with their own custom bits and bobs. But then everyone else was just making this, for want of a better term, kind of trash, because they were just making everything to a price point, and it was a lot more like the IBM clone business, which kind of makes sense in a way. But like, the Motorola clones, there's nothing to write home about them, and then everyone else was basically building the Motorola clones with their own different bit of plastic on the front. Yep.
That was it. Okay. All right. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's why the Pioneer one excites me, because it's like weird and different again. And that's just makes it more interesting.
Oh yeah, that's when I heard about that, I'm like, I know it's probably just an Apple board inside, but the case and the speakers interest me. And I actually contacted someone who has one, and they sent me some photos of it. So I'd be happy to share those to you. All right, let's get this going here. I'm going to switch to that view. That hopefully will work. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this baby on and see if it wants to cooperate.
Live booting.
There we go.
Oh man. Oh yeah.
You're like, oh, it works.
Yeah, no drama.
I'm not even bleeding. I mean, come on.
But I'm glad I can hear the fans.
Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Can I hear the hard disk as well?
It's a big SCSI one, so you should be able to in a second.
Oh yes.
Let's bring the ASMR microphone closer.
Yeah. I keep replacing my hard disk with SCSI to SDs and stuff. Although I want to check out that blue SCSI thing. Although I don't know if that would work with PowerPC Max.
Yeah, I think there's some updates to it, but you could just hear this one clicking.
Yeah, that's what. Man, that's good, isn't it? Read those sectors.
You spin me right round, baby.
Yeah, I know. Like, this is the thing. Like the bad puns and part of my brain started to go, and I was like, okay, we just stop now. I'm just gonna stop.
You can see there's a lot of extensions.
I like it, and you've gone for the circuit board desktop pattern.
You got it.
Classic of the
you
era.
Have to.
Kai's going. Turns out Mac OS booting is less exciting than Chinese food.
Yes, I would not disagree. Thank you, Kai, for sticking around. And this is a preview of what you're in for tomorrow. So thank you for being a good sport.
I hope I'll be able to join. That'd be cool.
That would be fun.
Right, you've got hard disk toolkit. There you go, personal edition.
So
Absolute
this
standard for clones.
This came with a bunch of stuff. It came with hard disk toolkit, the personal edition, and when you launch this, I think it's personalized for power computing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Power computing user. There you go.
Yeah. Are we gonna defrag a hard disk live on air? I'm excited.
18 hours later. So this
got a bit more fragmentation, Steve. Just there.
I'm asleep and you're just like yelling at me to wake me up. So this machine I used as basically to back up everything else. So I have some stuff for my Quadra 800. I was doing to and from stuff here, and I did some backup disks here for other systems that I was playing around with or hard drives I was recovering. So this machine is really stable. I mean, I've really hardly had an issue with it. When I first got it, something happened when I reinstalled the OS and the system folder got corrupted, but I was able to just resolve that and then it was fine. But this has 212 megabytes of memory, so this is no slouch here.
Whoa! Look at that, branded.
Yeah, it's branded.
This computer.
And there is also where's the desktop patterns here? There are also some power computing exclusive desktop patterns. So we got these crazy ones here. Let me start from the.
Oh yeah, look at that.
They are horrible, but here we go.
Whoa!
All right, so this one was the last Apple one, and then
wait, are those real?
Then there's
that
this
weird snail thing.
And then,
look at that.
Then we have this. I mean, if
I've
you
seen
set
it's
that,
so weird.
it makes my eyes hurt. But
it's making my eyes hurt now. Stop it. I don't like
I don't know what this is supposed to be. It kind of looks like the teddy bear, but he's been discombobulated. Because if we go to the teddy bear, it looks like they just ripped him apart and pixelized him.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's. Let's look at some.
What were they thinking?
Some guy had a lot of free time, and they're like, "Look, we need 20 patterns. We need to ship 20 patterns. Go."
But the thing is, right? You can't even call these patterns.
No,
they're just repeating messes. It's like, what is that?
I don't know.
Is that a magic eye? Maybe.
Maybe, yeah, maybe if you stare at it long enough.
I'm staring.
You stare.
I think I always used to do the thing where you stare really close and then you pull back.
Yeah, maybe you'll get like the power computing CEO looking at you.
And a sailing yacht.
It's a 604 processor. Now these patterns are these are bigger, I guess. So you got slightly different weirdness going on.
They found the lens flare in Photoshop.
Yes,
I remember
they found it.
I remember when I was like 15 and I was like, oh, put a lens flare on it. It looked really realistic. A real photo.
This is like not too bad. Like I could, if you forced me to have this as a desktop, I wouldn't go that crazy. This, on the other hand, no. That looks like someone's brain. This just awful. I mean, were they going for a Halloween theme here, or I don't know. Yeah, somebody liked. Oh, this is. What do you live in, a volcano? This is. Look at this. This is just. This one almost looks.
It's just
this
lame.
This is like a pattern, so that's almost acceptable. And then this is one of the coolest ones. I mean, really, it didn't.
Oh yeah.
It didn't have to compete much, to be honest. But
You can see the power
You can
in power
see-
computing there. You can really see the power.
And then there's this. So you could imagine why
Yeah.
I stuck
And
with the
the-
computer chips.
The radius one is the same, like, you know, that crappy emboss effect that
Yeah.
Photoshop has, like a default.
So you could see why I stuck with the green.
Lame. Come on, guys.
Now I wanted to figure out. So this is a 180-6003. I think it's a 603E. What's interesting is it came with this twin turbo control panel, but there's no twin turbo PCI card in here. So it has this whole thing here, but this was just installed from the operating system. So there's obviously some bells and whistles and stuff that could have been used, but has not been in this particular configuration.
Oh, man.
I don't think there is anything that will tell us any of the specs here. Oh wait, no, we have MacBench. I lied. Yeah, I did run a performance on this a while ago. See, I forgot.
PowerCenter 180 is in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. So let me open.
Registered copy, Steve. Very good.
Yes, of course. So this is comparing the clone to a 6100, and we have to zoom out to see the full power of power computing. I mean, just look at that. I mean, just
that poor 6100.
yeah,
Absolutely wiped the floor with it.
yeah,
Oh dear.
yeah. So the 6100 is nothing compared to the power of this PowerCenter. So you got the 524% on this, a score of 524 rather. Does it let me easily swap the? No, I don't think it lets me. It's just going to do the test. I think I have to have the CD which loads all the tests and stuff like that. But yeah, but we have a bunch of scores here that make you feel better about spending money on a power computing machine. But I mean, it's a 601 to a 603, the E or whatever. So that's a pretty good comparison. Other than that, I think there was one or two other things that it came with here. The twin turbo one we discussed. I mean, like we were talking about, this is the Mac OS. It's fully supported. It's branded a little bit, but that's basically it. That's what's going on here. You could do your Print Shop Deluxe. You could do silly things and whatever you want. I could jump on IRC here if I wanted to. The internet is connected. Let's see if it remembered its connection settings here. Yeah, so that's the extra Ethernet card that I added on in slot B1. And what horrible internet browsers do I have on here? So Internet Explorer, I think. I don't have Netscape? Oh, for shame. I feel so bad now.
But you can't launch that. Oh, he's doing it anyway.
He's doing it anyway. He's I think it froze, if it makes you feel better. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I do feel better now, actually.
Let's see if it actually will surf.
No surfing allowed.
Ooh, it failed. Ooh, next.
Sorry, dude.
Next.
Sorry,
Did
dude.
it actually get an IP? Or is this cable might not even be connected. Yeah, will be supplied by... Yeah, so... Actually, let me just jump in the chooser real quick, just to see. No, not the calculator. Chooser. There we go.
Let's do some adding up.
Yeah, let's see if
Come on.
if it finds the other Mac on the network here. Probably not. No. Yeah. So maybe oops, sorry. I pushed the wrong thing on my watch and now everything's beeping.
Oh no! Ah!
Yeah, so I don't think this one is happily connected. That cable is probably just not even plugged into the other side of the switch, and I'm silly. But
What?
yeah, no response from server. I'm sorry, server. But
Do you want to show us your APS?
Yes,
I'm
let's-
excited because this is like
no, we're shutting this down.
I know nothing about APS or who they are or why they made a Mac clone or like anything. So I'm kind of like, oh, I just want to see it.
Yeah, no. So
Even though it looks like a really boring case of game.
You'd be right in your assumption. So we'll plug the APS online because I think that has more goodies in it. There's a very interesting README file on that APS that I know you're going to love. I can't wait to show it to you. So,
do we get to launch Simple Text again today?
Yes. Only
awesome.
for you. Only for you.
This is the thing, though. The great debate is teach text or simple text.
Oh,
which side were you on?
I can't pick sides. I'm going to put you in full screen for a moment. As
you love them both equally.
Exactly. I'm going to put you full screen for a second. I'm going to grab an Ethernet wire off camera.
I have the whole screen.
Feel free to distribute whatever propaganda you wish.
Let's see if I can fit the whole screen. I'm going to try and... Am I in? Have I gone the wrong way again? I've gone the wrong way again. Typical. I know nothing about what we're doing. I've got nothing to say. I'm just going to sit here.
You want to spam your Instagram?
We'll get some... I don't know, you can go on my website if you want. It's really slow.
You're really selling it.
Hypertalking.com, I think. But yeah, I'm Hypertalking on Twitter and on Instagram, obviously. But like, I'm just here for the chat. I don't mind. I don't need to promote myself. I'm just here to watch Steve clean spiderwebs out of computers. What else do we do? Start the chooser, open the calculator.
We're doing all the things. That's everything.
But how well, Steve? How well do these clones that you're talking about run calculator?
Well, that's the tricky part. We may not be able to. We have to do some benchmarks. We'll have to do some calculations. All right, so we're gonna move your window there because this tower is not going anywhere. This is it's a big one. So let's try and scoot this over.
Yeah, get me out of
here.
the way. That's good. There we go. Right. What are we looking at here? Right. Oh, I like that it's a two-tone case.
Yeah,
straight away. Oh,
this is the weirdest clone I have. We're gonna get
that is a super wide case as well.
Yeah. This is we're at the other camera. I'm moving this camera.
And the logo.
Yeah, so
it's like angled. Sorry, am I talking about bits that we're not looking at yet? I'm just excited.
No. I'm excited too. I'm so excited.
It's like a really boring case, and I'm still excited.
So I'm gonna hide you for a moment if you don't mind.
Fine by me.
Let's see. I'm gonna just move you there.
I don't think I can compete with beige personally.
It's hard to compete with, I know. So this thing I found for free in an e-waste pile when I picked up a free G3 all-in-one machine. I have a whole video about that, so I'm not going to bore everyone with the details, but this was just sitting with a pile of PCs. If I did not do my research on clones, I would have assumed this was a PC, and I would have left it there. Yeah. This little logo, which we'll let me switch the cameras here. We'll get to the other camera here, so we can get a close-up of things. This little logo here has a little rainbow on it, and it says APS M-Power. And so this is the series that they did of these clones.
Are those like Hollywood spotlights?
It looks like it, yeah. So they were very proud of this, obviously. But they made two series of towers. And of course, I've just forgotten which one. I have an earlier one of the earlier ones, but not the earliest one here. But this is very PC style case. So you have, your bays up here. We have two bays here for a 3.5 inch, three 5.5 inch bays. There we go. We got a power indicator. It's got a lot of bays. We got a reset switch. We got a power switch. And we're going to put the camera back on the mount for a second so we could spin this thing around, because this is how I confirmed it was a Macintosh clone. Obviously, you want to look at the ports. Now, on the back here, few peculiar things. A full-size SCSI port, because why not?
That's a monster.
We have PS2 ports. We have Windows-style PC, IBM PS2 ports. We have an ADB port. We have printer and modem. We have microphone and speaker. And we have a VGA port. Now, We also have a twin turbo card. So this is a twin turbo video card. We have an Ethernet card, which is great because there's no onboard networking on this particular model. And then this is a very fancy audio I/O card. The yellow is not video; it's for digital. But this case screams PC. You have these, things for other, connectors that you would do on a PC or anything like that. And so this thing was destined for a landfill. I'm so happy I found it. And I'm going to open it up because this thing is a weird thing inside and out. Now, this was a sub-licensee of Motorola. APS was a sub-licensee of Motorola. So this essentially has a Motorola StarMax logic board inside. So that's what's inside this thing. So if you ever look at a Motorola StarMax board, exactly the same thing. So to elegantly remove this case, you have to just rip the front off. There we go.
You sure you're doing it right? Oh.
Very, very elegant. Look at that. And we have hilarious stickers here. Take this side off, and motherboard.
Do you know what, Steve, though? I am planning on leaving my own homemade versions of those stickers in my radius because, there is only one place on the internet that tells you how to open it, and I'm like, what if dumb me opens this up in a year and has completely forgotten what you're meant to do?
There you go. And so I already removed the 2 screws on this side, but there are 3 screws on that side. But this slides open like this. And then...
Oh, look at that. So you can get the motherboard without having to go through, so you don't have to go...
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I'm all excited about this.
So this machine has 2 hard drives in it. One here. Wait, no, does it? Did I take that one out? I can't remember. Maybe I tried to image it. I don't remember. I think this may have had 2 at one point. Anyway, you have an optical drive at the top, a floppy drive here, and we have a hard drive. Now, I will try and move some of these things around so you get a better view of it. But essentially, the power supply is here. We have somebody taped on the extra port cover that I guess was hiding on something here. And let's see, can we... Oh yeah, here's the fun part here. So all these cards are held in by these little plastic screws. And I thought that what you had to do, and I'm sorry I have to hold the light and the phone and the camera here, but I thought what you had to do was sort of, remove things from this side, which you can't really get in there. I thought that's how you would remove the cards, by doing that. Apparently, this whole board sort of just slides out from the back here.
Nice.
If you're lucky. I don't actually. I've seen it. I've seen that done online. I'm doubting if it could actually be done now because my back looks slightly different. But anyway, but if we look over here, you're going to see an Apple Computer text there. So this board is Apple Computer design, I guess. But it's the same one used as the StarMax, so I'm sure Pioneer had a hand in this. There are some very interesting options on this board that some are unpopulated. So we look over here, and we have an IDE port, so you could have an IDE hard drive or optical drive there. And again, I apologize for the lighting. Let me get some of these cables out of the way, actually, if you don't mind, James. Don't mind.
And of course, I guess a lot of the clones had a mix of IDE and SCSI, so you could have the cheaper, because IDE drives were so much cheaper back then in the 90s than SCSI ones. So you'd have a real mix, and sometimes the CD-ROM drive was IDE. I definitely remember that in the clones.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the power supply out to give us a little wiggle room here.
I think as an example of how silly we were as sort of Mac people back in the 90s, I definitely have a feeling of IDE is dirty and tainted because that's what the PC world uses, which is ridiculous. It just made things cheaper and it was completely fine,
Oh yeah,
had a real impression that SCSI was where it was at and anything else wasn't good enough. And that was one of the myriad ways that they made the clones more affordable, which can only be a good thing. But yeah, there was definitely, I felt, snobbery around the technology being used. How could this be as good as SCSI? I think it was a bit I think it was a bit slower, but it was like one of those things where like it's just not worth it for the price difference, like to care that much.
Yeah, and then IDE would eventually get better and better. So it's like one of those things where for a time period it was slower, but also let's get this power supply out of the way. But also, it was just one of those. Oh, we have a lovely M-Power branded power supply. I'm sure they just shoved onto some PC power supply. But 300 watt, so you could actually drive a lot of stuff by there. So that's pretty cool. Put the camera back on there before I end up dropping it.
Do you know, so it says, what did it say there? That was a slogan, APS, the name, what's the slogan? Can you read it?
It says, M-Power, APS, the name to remember in Mac-compatible systems. That's the first time I've noticed that.
So they had so maybe, were they another business that was only for Macintosh clones?
I don't know. I don't recall. They are a sub-licensee of Motorola, so I think they really believed that they could do a lot. Let's see if can I bring this whole unplug this here. Just put the power supply on the top of the machine there. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier to manage. Because I want to show you the inside of this thing, because that's where this thing gets very interesting. Yeah, so I think that they really fully committed to being a sub-licensee and were like, oh yeah, we're going to produce these excellent high-power machines, and it just didn't pan out for them. So, as with any Macintosh, you have to get the SCSI cables out of the way before you can actually see what you're doing. So let's get that out of the way. So we do have 3 memory slots here. And we have a SCSI slot on the left that drives the drives, and that external port here on the back, that right here. So everything is driven by this one SCSI cable, which is interesting. So I guess maybe the reason why they had that style at the end was to easily terminate it. I'm not sure. But we do have some interesting things to note. On the left side, where the power supply is connected, you can see that's just a regular PC power supply. If you're familiar with PCs, that's like the standard older style PC power supply where it's in two plugs there. To the right, you have an MFM floppy drive port. So you could actually solder in a header there for a PC floppy drive, which to me is like, what?
So you could and in theory that should be able to read high density Mac disks fine. It would only struggle with the 800 and 400K.
So I mean, I am for sure going to solder on a header there, but now I'm noticing there's a little chip that might go below there that might be not there. So maybe that's just
That's an option that they hadn't. They haven't populated. Yeah.
Now also, so we see there's just trying to balance 3 of my hands here. Let's try and get that out of there. So that's the floppy drive connector there, and then the IDE drive slot is to the right of that. But of course the cable just wants to come back in there. But you'll see if we could. This is very amateurish. I apologize. But you can see to the right of there, behind the floppy bays, there is also another header that almost looks like another floppy drive Mac header. That's sort of unpopulated there. So a lot of things that are interesting on this board that you could see that they were leaving all these options open for expansion. There was also a header here, and I'm not sure what that is by the looks of it right now, but it's right above the, I think that's a cache module or a ROM module. It's right above there, so that could have been like another cache module or something like that. So very interesting.
Okay. So I did a bit of Googling, and you probably have already seen this, but according to every Mac, which it's a bit hit and miss sometimes, every Mac, but they say APS Technologies, Motorola sub-licensee, obviously, sold Tanzania boards, baseboard, computers with a Tanzania-based board from November 96 to January 98. When APS was unable to get a license for macOS 8, they quickly sold off the remaining inventory, and by January 31st, 98, returned to their primary business of selling Macintosh and PC peripherals. So it wasn't their main business, but
they were committed to peripherals at least.
They were already selling peripherals. And then they had 2 ranges, the M-Power, which was all 603s except for the last one, which was a 604, and then they had the M-Power /2, which was a 300 megahertz 603 and a 200 megahertz 604. So
I believe mine is the last of the first series, I think, if I recall correctly. We're about to find out.
Is that a 603 or 604? The 604.
I think it's a 603. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We're gonna power it on, if that's okay. So I know we still got yours
get it all back
to go through. If we can get it back together.
Yeah, I was just worried about the amount you taking it apart.
Now I will warn you. The last time I tried to turn on this machine, it was unhappy because of the PRAM battery. But I think we're okay. Well, here, let's try this without all the screws back in. let's get the plug here and see if it's going to cooperate. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, James?
No, I was just wondering how you tell easily from looking at the board, like whether you've got a 603 or 604.
And that's exactly why I'm saying let's turn it on, because I
don't recall. Yeah. So APS were based in Kansas City, which is I know that's nothing to do with Kansas, right? Kansas City is like
in Colorado, I think. Something like that.
I could just Google that.
Yeah.
Kansas.
Yeah, make me look like a fool, please.
Here we go. It's in Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. Okay, I knew it was not in Kansas. All right. They were a mail order computer peripheral vendor in Kansas City, and this is an article from the Kansas City Business Journal about them. It is a bit loud.
They already were making a revenues of $100 million a year when they started their Mac business.
Oh, really?
And they say, and the CEO is quoted saying, "We already sell 50 to 60% of the parts we need to build a computer in-house." So that might be why the power supply is M-Power branded, because they were already making them.
Yeah.
So it could be that loads of the parts were their own parts.
And why do we have no
That
video?
sounded like it turned off again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on again. Yay.
I had trouble with this thing because with the PRAM battery, sometimes you have to turn it on twice for get any video to display. But it also has 2 video ports, so I forget which one it's preferring. We'll just leave that for a second. Come on.
So yeah, there's not a huge amount out there about them.
Yeah, that's why I've seen some ads. I have some magazines that that I played around with that have advertisements for this model. Oh, I think I know what I have to do. There's a PRAM battery or a CUDA switch. I think if I just push that, I think that fixes the PRAM woes that I'm having. Or it kills the machine. There it goes. Now notice it has a shortened startup chime. It's almost the full thing. But you get just like the tail end of it cut off. We'll see if any of this will produce any video signal, because I've had some issues with this machine before.
Oh, I could share the article in the chat.
Yes, please do.
There we go.
It would
for everyone to read at their leisure.
It would help if the power supply was plugged into the CD drive and the hard drive. Minor things. Just minor things. Let's try that again. I mean that shouldn't
That is super loud.
Yes, sorry. There we go. Now we have a screen because we plugged the power into the hard drive. That makes total sense, doesn't it?
Yay!
So let's
Are you
I'm about to, if I could.
Are you going to share the screen? Brilliant. Oh, I'm excited.
There we go. Oops, my video is overlapping it. Hold on.
So they had an initial line that they launched with of 3 machines, 2 desktop machines, 160 and 200 megahertz 603E, and a mini tower, which is a 200 megahertz 604E. So maybe yours is the 604.
Oh, maybe it is. I forgot.
That would be cool.
So I think this is set up in 2-screen mode here. So I have to out of range. Hold on. Let's see. Which one is showing the main desktop here? There's 2 video ports, so I'm...
Oh no, but all I can see is black nothing.
Yeah, it's... I see other extensions here.
Oh, video! A cursor, I see a cursor. I see extensions. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Oh, I see you've got Apple Script. Very good. And, all sorts. QuickTime. Gotta have that.
I have to image this hard drive. I have not imaged it yet. This is from the original setup here. Don't you shake your head.
Oh, is it? I know. I'm just kidding. You've done way better public archiving than I have. Oh dear. Is that a SETI at home or something? That green thing?
Yeah, I think it was.
What a brilliant time capsule!
Yeah, that's why I got an image. I know, it's fantastic. So now I have to...
Okay, this is the best Mac already.
So I have to adjust because the monitor here is on my capture thing is not happy. It says it's out of range, but I could see it if I open up the capture window on my computer here. So let me...
Yeah, it's working fine. You just have to use looking over peering over the computer you'll see.
Okay, so yeah, let's fix this here. Okay, so let's go to the Apple menu.
Oh, and someone was running Virtual PC on this as well.
Yeah.
Virtual PC 2, which I have a review of in the magazine just now. Shall we read a review of Virtual PC 2?
Yes. Oh, this is 8.6 M-Power 4.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Interesting.
I think
that's just the name of the hard disk.
Yeah,
but it's got an APS icon for the hard disk. That's cool.
And that's not all. Hold on. We have... Where is it here? Here's a twin turbo control panel that'll actually help us this time.
Hey, it'll actually open.
So there we go.
Cool.
That's what we were missing before.
Whoa, look at that. It's got like a weird, crappy, like brushed metal
Yeah.
and 2 jet engines overlapping.
An attempt was made. And,
it's not good, is it?
No, we have, oh wait, that's right.
But
it's on the hard drive.
I like how chunky it is.
Where
are we going? Where's Steve taking us?
There's, where is it?
Why have you started SETI at home? We could be searching for Ace to Trust Your Life right now.
I tried, it doesn't work anymore.
Oh man, it's off the servers.
So here we go. Read me about the mouse. Now this is interesting. Exactly, James. So this APS clone actually shipped with a PS2 mouse.
Oh,
and so this...
Don't put it in the wrong port.
So this document is talking about the APS Power system comes with a 2-button mouse to help improve your productivity.
They're explaining what each button
exactly.
is. And the right mouse button has that's a really long explanation there.
Yeah.
The left mouse button has 1 paragraph. Right button has 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, but 2 of them are really, really long. And underlined text.
Yeah, yeah. So
holy crap.
I mean, I guess maybe this was not in their documentation. Maybe they thought, well, if the guy could get to the desktop, then he could learn how to use the mouse. But
oh man! Oh, it's because they've got some weird click lock dragging feature thing that you can accidentally turn on.
Yeah. So I haven't plugged a PS2 mouse into this. At one point I will, because I think it's fantastic. But then we have like known incompatibilities here. And this is quite a long list of...
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, of things you gotta be aware of.
Wait, my IMS twin turbo card doesn't work. Did it ship with it?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Don't tell them, yeah. We have a twin turbo readme.
Do you think that there are people who are like big nerds about magneto-optical discs and are like super excited and keep them running these days? Because like
I'm sure
that is something that I never cared about.
I think they're neat, but I never really had one other than a SideQuest drive.
The flipping Nextcube, of course, I've got a Nextcube here. The Nextcube shipped with their MO drive as like the main one to put your, like you were meant to buy software on it, and these discs cost hundreds of dollars. Like, oh no, sorry, cost like $60 for just the disc. It's just dumb, it's so slow, and I think Steve got overexcited. But it's why Canon invested in Next, because they were made by Canon.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, disaster.
So we have
MO drives.
We
so
have
weird.
Recent applications, SETI at home. All this stuff. I mean, jeez, graphic converter. This guy was busy.
He was busy when he wasn't busy. If you've got SETI running, you're like, I've got to make my computer useful 24/7.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find one more thing before we stop on this machine, because there was like a speed test or something, and it was like,
show us the speed, Steve.
Yeah, it was Was it named something like speed test? Oh, no. Stop. Alright, let's see. It was something that had the title of speed in it.
Steve, I have to stop you for a second. Firstly, loads of people are leaving because we're just doing this, but whatever. That's by the by. Like, we don't care.
That's
about
expected.
That. But like, I just want to point out that the user called Mr. Fahrenheit in the chat has said, I recently just got into magneto-optical disc and drives. They're awesome. I sourced over 500 new sealed discs last month. So
whoa.
The thing is, right?
Whoa.
Our people are here. There's just not very many of them.
Well, so
we found them.
So the answer to the speed of this machine is still escaping me, because my monitor won't sync correctly. I'm having to use a sort of a window in a window type view here.
Have you got any kind of benchmarking stuff on here, so we can like Tech Tool Pro or
let's.
Are there any utility? Like, have you looked in the utilities folder? Is there anything it can tell us?
Here we go.
Have a 604 or a 603.
Ah.
Yes. Oh no, there's only an alias. Damn it.
That's why I think there was another hard drive in here at one point.
I hate it when that happens.
I don't think System
Check the
Profiler would
utilities
be
folder.
on here. Yeah, I'll check the utilities.
Come on, we've got to have something. I'm trying to remember all the different ones.
Oh, here it is.
Now.
Newer Tech Gauges, that's what it is. There it is.
That'll do.
Clockometer, here we go.
I used to love the Newer Tech Gauges stuff.
Oh, 604E, that's right. That's what it is. There you go. 200 megahertz, baby.
Yeah! Okay, so you're right. It was the last of the first ones.
Yes.
One of the few 604s they did. And then, it was the tower, was the 604. That's what the article says that I shared in the chat.
Slot information.
The desktops were 603.
Yeah.
So Macintosh 4A.
So yeah, this is an interesting machine. I have to definitely look into this more.
I love it.
But let's shut this down, because I know you have something you got to show, which is fantastic.
All the rest are in landfill, man.
Yeah.
You probably got the only one.
Probably. So this is going to take its sweet time to shut down. But
this is the kind of thing that floats my boat. Like the weird outliers. Like, find me the outliers.
Yeah.
I'm up for it.
I am so glad that I saw this thing. It was worth the running around and scavenging for this. But let me bring you over full screen, because I know you are very excited about what you're going to show next.
Okay. We're probably going to do. We're probably going to flip cameras again, because I've got set the scene. I think wait a second. So my first Mac was that I owned personally, not my family's, was a secondhand 2SI.
Okay.
And then I sold that to my brother's friend and scraped together enough money to buy, when the 6100s were end of lined, I bought myself a brand new 6100. So my first brand new computer, but I mean, it was end of lined, so it was mega cheap. I can't remember how much, mega cheap. And that was a 6100 that came with a DOS card in it.
Oh, wow. So you were able to do so much.
Yeah. Like, I can actually run some games if I booted into Windows. And because I was a kid still, like, obviously I sold the DOS card because I just needed to scrape back a bit of the money I spent on the 6100, and then sadly, but then I sold my 6100. I don't know what happened to that or who I sold it to. Don't recall at all. But I sold that, and I moved from a 601 to 604, which absolutely blew my socks off.
Oh wow!
So
yeah.
I bought a Umax Pulsar, and I had that for years, and I had a really nice Mitsubishi Diamondtron monitor with it, and the works. But I got rid of that machine at some point. I have no idea what happened to it. But some years ago, someone was selling a Pulsar. Again, I have no idea the circumstances I bought this under. So it was a fever dream of excitement. But I'll just pick this up. And I'll flip the camera around so we can see this. Here we go. I'll move my Mac out of the way. So where's how do you use modern equipment? It's that button there. There we go. Right. So here it is in the box.
Oh wow!
On my work desk. So I will. Sorry, this is a mess.
No, that's okay.
Oh dear. The professional film crew couldn't make it today. They were busy. So there we go. Let's do this. This might work. Steve, you're gonna have to tell me if it doesn't work because I can't see what's happening.
It looks great.
Okay. Oh wait, let me turn this. I can have a kind of reverse screen that's 10 seconds behind by turning my MacBook round. Right, let's angle that up a bit more. There we go.
It's amazing you have
that's
the box
have to
for
do.
it. That is great.
Yeah, so that's fun, isn't it? And I'll tell you a bit about what's on here. So it was bought by someone called Milton Computer Systems.
Okay.
In Ascot in Berkshire, and it was sent by next day delivery.
Wow.
By a company called CityLink that I believe don't exist anymore, and they delivered it on the 8th of July, 1999.
Wow.
So this is so late. This must have been someone buying it absolutely knocked down prices.
Oh yeah. So what was that date again? July.
That was the 8th of July, 1999.
Wow. Yeah, that was after they discontinued them.
Yeah, and what's interesting, it says deliver to Milton CS, so computer systems, and it was sent. Oh, maybe this was being sent back to a rental company because it was sent by a company that might have been using it. So it says here, sender International Medical Corp.
Oh,
what a brilliantly generic name. So I wonder if they've been renting it, and obviously by 99 it's completely obsolete.
Yeah.
So here you can see on the box that the Umax Pulsar won Best of Byte at CeBIT 97.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The computer conference. And here on the side, am I in shot?
Yeah.
There you can see the different. Like this tells you which processor you're getting inside. So you can have a 604E 166 or a 180 or a 200 or a 225 or a 250 or an 1800 dual processor. Sorry, a 180 dual processor or a 200 dual processor. And that, of course, you could just swap out that CPU card that you showed us earlier.
Yeah,
in your,
and so I think I actually have the logic board for one of these. Not probably your exact one, but it has the 2 slots for the processor, because the idea was you could buy the single processor model, and then if you had the cash to burn at the end of the day, or a few months later rather, you could just buy it had to be a special second processor. It was not just the same exact one you had, because
was that because that was Umax? Was that a unique Umax developed thing then?
Yes,
because Apple didn't do that, did they?
No, Apple did with their 9600. I think they had a dual processor version, or something. They had
but you had to have a different card.
Yeah,
you
so
didn't have 2 card slots.
Umax had their own branded one, which actually made me buy a bulk lot of like 20 scrapped processor cards, hoping that one of them was a Umax, but it wasn't. But it has a funky connector at the top because it's supposed to plug into the other card, and they could be different speeds, but it's a whole other thing. Anyway.
Bonkers. So I think the one I had when I was a kid was, I think it was a 225 megahertz, because again, the Pulsar that I bought when I was a kid was end-of-lined, like my 6100, because when you're a kid, you don't have much choice, right? So you just get whatever's cheapest. But I knew, I was trying to get the highest spec. So here we've got This says computer without CPU.
Huh.
So maybe the CPU got put in when it was imported or something by the local distributor. I don't know. And then it says Umax Super Pulsar, and we've got the part number and blah blah blah. Made in Taiwan. Umax are a Taiwanese company, as far as I know. So let's open this up, and we can have a quick look inside. So I could bring the camera up. Oh wait, how's this going to reach? This is the worst. Sorry, everyone. So amateur. Right, here we go. Oh, it's wobbling around all over the place. Here we go.
What do you have there?
So let's get this the right way around. So here we've got, this is a box with like your accessories and stuff like that. And on the top, we've got the language,
wow.
Keyboard, OS, user's guide, power cord and everything. And this is obviously a UK one. So we've got here under keyboard ticked UK. OS and user's guide, they've just sort of scratched it out. It looks like it was going to be US English, and then they've just scribbled it out. And then here, the power cord is a UK power cord. And then it's quite hard to... I wonder if I can show how this works. But basically, the computer is under here, and then there's this sort of nifty little sort of cardboard and thingamy sort of and foam thing, and it sort of opens, and you can take that out like that. So
that's where the keyboard is?
Down. Yeah, so let's just flip this open, and let's get this light on here. So here we've got the keyboard, which is your standard, I think it's your standard Mac Ally. One, is it? Maybe it isn't, but anyway, it's one of the standard crappy clone keyboards with your silkscreen logo.
You got all the beautiful documentation there too. Look at that.
Well, it's sort of
to a degree.
The good. There's like random documentation. Unfortunately, the main one is missing, which kind of sucks. And then we've got a mouse that will be familiar to you.
Oh yes.
There you go.
Let me put mine on the camera too. So we'll be mouse buddies, dorking out. Yay!
There we go.
Awesome.
And that's a mouse that I sent Steve some weeks ago.
It's beautiful.
Which he's been enjoying ever since, I hope. And then the stuff in this box is just weird. Like we've got a SCSI internal SCSI cable, and then we've got a SCSI driver for a card, adapter card, and then just loads of like documentation for that in every language you can think of. And like nothing, there's like nothing Umaxy in here at all.
So it's all for like the SCSI card.
Yeah, it totally sucks. But we do have the invoice.
Ooh.
So I think actually I remember. Yeah, so there we go. It was a lease.
Wow. That is cool.
And this is 17th of July 98, so only a year before. But 98, July 98 was still
that was
still happening.
At the end, very end, yeah.
Yeah, right at the end. So and you can see how cheap it's got now, because when Pulsars first came out, you were talking about a couple of thousand, and here we've got Umax 2000 megahertz, 200 megahertz, and it's only £700.
Wow.
And additional 64 megs of RAM, £60. Mitsubishi 91 TXM, that's a really nice screen.
Wow.
Really nice Diamondtron screen. £600. We got a ATI 8 megabyte Exclaim graphics card, £189. Internal zip drive.
Ooh.
I don't think that this is this. I don't remember this having a zip drive. Well, we'll find out in a moment.
It's hiding.
They sent a free zip cartridge.
Ooh.
They also bought FileMaker Pro at the same time,
Nice.
And they bought a Calcomp graphics tablet.
Wow.
And some other things that I don't know what they are, but this looks like it was a graphics person.
Oh yeah, hot text
they got
package.
some,
Norton
and a Bitstream font collection, Norton, and lease documents, and so they got including VAT, £2,385.
Wow.
But very that would have been price of just the computer alone when they first came out in
certainly.
like 96, 97 or something.
And that company was called Max Supplies because that's at the header.
Yeah, Max Supplies.
Interesting.
Yeah, Max Supplies. They were in London. There you go. No, that's the chap's address. Don't show that.
He doesn't live there anymore.
It's okay. I think it's his business address. Titan Finance. Titan Finance. Obviously, it's like a leasing company.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to put the this here again because involves hands and lifting and all of that gubbins. So let's get that a bit better shot. There we go. Right. So this is. There we go. Right. This is where everyone gets to laugh at me trying to pick up a really heavy computer.
It's heavier than it looks.
So how do you, yeah, they really are. It's ridiculous. So I think the best thing to do is...
And then use your third arm to move the box off the table while you have it in your hands.
Exactly. Oh dear. Right, I'll take it apart on the floor. It's all very cleverly wrapped up. Here we go.
Oh wow! And look at that. They have an equally interesting wavy pattern on their machine, just like the Radius.
Yeah,
their grandfather.
It's fun, isn't it? Yeah, I bet I only collect clones that have wobbly lines on the front. That's my thing.
Quite a lot to collect, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to beat the collectors of magneto-optical drives and be more obscure. It's always about being the most collector of most obscure things, isn't it? That's how you win. It's not a competition. We all are in this together.
That is beautiful. It's in beautiful shape, too.
By the way, yeah, it's in really good shape. It has... All right, here we go. Have I got the whole thing in yet?
Almost.
Let's try and get the whole thing in.
Perfect.
Oh, come on! Don't bend back again.
Now it's two down.
No, it's two down.
Up.
There we go.
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough. Steve's like, oh, why do I have to do these shows with James all the time?
No,
I'm doing it again.
Beautiful. It looks beautiful.
Right. So we got Umax. And then it says down here, it says Umax Pulsar, which is really bizarre because if you saw in the box, it says Super Pulsar, and the adverts all said Super Pulsar, but then it says Super up here.
I wonder if something was named in the UK Super Pulsar and they could only get away with that in the US or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like that's why the Mega Drive is called the Genesis in the US.
Yep.
Because its worldwide name is Mega Drive, and then some models would have like the speed of the model of it on a sticker here. Okay. There's like a little hole, and then you've got the main feature of the Umax Pulsar is that this door falls off.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's just not very strong. But the door is the fun thing because they're trying to make something that looks like a quality item.
Yeah. So
you've got the audio in out on the front, so you could plug your headphones in,
which
cool. Feels quite modern. You didn't really get that too often. And we've got the speaker above. You got the reset and the interrupt, and then power.
Now I heard that.
Sorry, go on.
No, just briefly. I heard that they made a second revision to that door, and that they just could not keep that part in stock because everybody wanted the revised door.
Yeah, and when you see the cheaper Umax towers that come out later, they just don't bother with the door anymore.
Yeah.
The 603 towers, they just didn't bother. So yeah, it's pretty standard. You got two 5.25, two 3.5 inches, and the floppy drive underneath. I can't remember the layout inside, but so we'll be all learning about this together because I haven't looked at this machine in like a year, maybe two. And one fun thing they did was, in a sort of harkening back to the original Macintosh, they've got signatures of the whole team down here, right, molded in, and then here they have a Hokusai Great Wave. Molded in.
Oh, cool.
And it says, in recognition of those who kept the faith.
Oh,
shall I zoom in so you can see?
Please. If you
bring the
can.
camera in. How's that looking?
Oh, that is beautiful.
Can you see that?
Beautiful. That is so cool, James. Yeah, I mean, they knew they were probably on their way out when this machine was produced, at least, or when the door was made.
I think... Yeah, unfortunately.
Now, what's interesting is this case. What I learned is it's exactly the same. Except the front, a lot of the case is the same as the Dell cases that they had at the time.
Yeah,
which is why totally. I actually have two of those Dell systems and the Supermax board because my dream is to build my own clone one day.
Put them together.
Hopefully,
that would be cool. You've got to do it. So let's turn it around a bit and have a look. So there's the side.
Yeah.
And it's got its sort of foot thing. And then we've got the other side, which unsurprisingly looks pretty much the same.
Just like those Dells.
So then, it is. And it completely is. I realized that at one point as well. So this is going to be exciting and fun for all of us because, like I said, I haven't looked at this in ages. I can't really remember what we've got. Yeah. So what have we got here? Sound out, audio out, 2 ADBs, then we've got your standard SCSI, and then everything else is on cards. And
that's right. Yeah, even the serial.
This is how Umax did it. Yeah, so we've got because this is like in your like you showed in your power computing one, we've got like basically a kind of riser card type thing here, and this has got the two serials and the Ethernet and the AUI Ethernet on it, and then they didn't have any onboard video, they didn't bother with that, so it was always a graphics card that's component, and I've got two here,
Wow.
and I don't know what they are, but is that your twin turbo
It
one
looks
again?
like a twin turbo, and the other one looks like the standard ATI one that was had the video.
Ah,
Now, what's interesting is
yeah.
I bought the board, and then
We
I
got
bought the that Ethernet riser card separately. But I learned that when you take the side off of that, we'll see they actually made a card that I think some of these models had an extra slot for. It was like PCI, and then there was a chunk of a slot to the right of it that allowed you to essentially plug in something that could take a lot more bandwidth. And so they had like a SCSI
nice.
2 and it was either gigabit Ethernet or 100 base Ethernet. So they had
I
like a very
see.
special card that I'm sure is $1 billion these days.
That would be fun to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's just a SCSI card at the bottom. It says SCSI SE. I don't know what that means. And what I've just noticed here on this standard sticker on the back that kind of has got FCC details and everything. It's actually got the port icons on it as well,
yeah,
which I'm not sure anyone would ever notice
for
that.
right below the thing that's going to sit there.
Yeah, it's got the modem, the print of the modem and two Ethernet ones. So I remember that this was really easy to open up and do stuff with. So we've just got this thumb screw here. That's all it is, I think.
Yeah, and then I think you have to push on the top and the bottom of that panel to sort of ease it out of there.
Yeah, these are two little tabby things that you press in, and then I think you pull it backwards. Again, like this is an opportunity for being a total klutz. There we go.
That's what we excel at, James.
Yeah, I'm here for that. Oh, come on.
Don't worry, if you break it, you could steal one off of Dell.
How does this... This is super embarrassing doing this live.
It's not the easiest case to open.
What have I done wrong?
Nothing.
Am I doing this right, Steve?
Yeah.
Am I doing this right?
Squeeze it and then pull it towards the edge, the outside of the desk there. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I have released. Right, here we go.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
and then the first thing we've got card guides in there. So that's pretty standard.
I've never seen the inside. Yeah, you can see the slot next to the PCI slot. There's that. I think that's I don't know. That might be the second processor slot, or that might be that weird extension I talked about. Anyway.
Oh yeah. So let's have a little look about what's going on. So we've got our 5 1/4-inch drive bays there, and this middle one actually has a kind of 3.5-inch little extra bit, so you could put a smaller drive in that one. It's kind of got an extra support in there for that. And then we got the floppy drive, and then the hard disk. And actually, I think you can put another. It's designed so you can put another hard disk in here vertically. Yeah, and there's something. It looks like you could put an extra fan in there.
Mm-hmm.
This has got a lot of fans in it already. Like there's a fan here and a fan in the power supply. Power supply is really small. It's just this. And then this is obviously all the stuff. So here we've got the board, and it says Umax Computer Corp. And as we know, Umax designed their own boards to some degree, and this is the Storm Surge one.
Oh, yep.
Which was that was just all their 604s, all their Pulsars. That was the Pulsar, wasn't it? Storm Surge. That was like the code name.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think they had different code names and everything. Yeah. So that would be Umax's I guess system board name or whatever, because they had a Storm Surge 1500 that they sold here, at least in the U.S. So maybe the Pulsar was the name there overseas.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that could make some sense. So then, what's going on in here is let's start at the bottom and work our way. Well, no, let's go from the outside in, because we'll end on the more interesting stuff. So, at the top we've got mountains of SIM slots. I've actually only got one memory module in there, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 slots.
Oh wow!
So you could get a fair amount of RAM in. And then at the bottom, we've got our cards. Oh, yeah, so the bottom one it looks like a sort of somewhat generic, I can't see a brand on the it's an Adaptec SCSI card, so that would explain maybe the CD and manuals we have. And then the interesting thing is the video card. So maybe you can Google this for me, Steve.
Sure.
This is a 4Mac This is a format card. They're a German
Oh yes,
company
they
that,
are. Yeah.
as the name implied, all the stuff they made was for Macs, and I know it's so straightforward. It's a Formac Performance 80, so you could look up how good that is. It's got a chip on it with a heatsink, so that kind of implies it was pretty serious.
They had a Performance PCI card. Oh, that's eBay. That's not going to help me.
Yeah, just buy one.
Oh,
Just buy it, and then you can tell me when it arrives.
A virtual museum here. It has 8 megabytes of memory apparently.
Whoa!
And it has an IBM chip on there.
Okay, and then the card above is indeed an ATI, like you said.
Okay.
It's got an ATI chip on it. I can't see any kind of model name on it. And then the next one up is is a tiny card. It's only a few inches deep, and it's like the top slot. And it's not the PCI; it's our riser, like we were saying, with our ports on it.
And that was what was strange,
serial.
because when I got the board, I'm like, where are the serial ports on here? And I'm like, they have to have the serial ports, and that's why you didn't have it on. You had the riser. Yeah.
Hidden away on that little mini riser. And then opposite the riser, this is the most interesting bit, like you pointed out. We've got these two processor slots, basically. I mean, they're exactly the same. And we've got one on here. I wonder if it says copyright 96 Umax computer. And I'm trying to see if there's a spec listed. I can see lots of stickers, but very little spec. It says, the heatsink says SSCPU series.
Okay.
I can't see if there's there's nothing written on it, but I mean, I don't really. I'm a bit nervous about pulling a CPU card out. Maybe it's fine.
Don't do that.
Who knows what could go wrong? So yeah, I mean, again, like we've said, it's like so typical of a clone in that it's like, how do we make this low cost so we can maximize our profit margins and basically beat Apple at their game? And it's like, well, they were using Dell cases.
Yeah. They just slapped a front on it, and that's basically it.
Yeah, that's it. And like the innovation and R&D that they did was all around like how can we kind of outperform Apple, and that was like why they did their own board designs and had their double CPU slots and stuff like that, because they just knew that was the only way they could compete if they were going to compete at the high end, which is where they wanted to.
Yeah.
Although then they did make low end ones as well, like your APS and stuff like that is very low end for a clone. I think that's it. I'm really happy to plug it in and boot it up if you want, and we can have a look and see if there's anything else going on. But unfortunately, obviously, I don't have a nice setup where I can stream the video.
Oh, that's okay.
Unfortunately, sure. Instead of wasting time putting the side on,
and who needs a side?
We don't need a side to run a computer. You're going to have to fill in and with chat while I think about what I'm doing.
Sure, no worries. I'll put it on the split view again.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah. No. I had a thought, and then I realized it was completely irrelevant, and I thought it's too tangential to even bother sharing.
Oh, just share, and then I'll stop.
No, I was just tell me to shut up. No, I was just thinking, because the last time we did video was a little Marcintosh thing, and that was our previous clone video, and I was just going to say it was a kind of merely in passing chat thing that I watched Joe and Ron do that's just Joe and Ron, isn't it? Who kicked that off, and I watched them do they did a kind of
like a retrospective.
Sort of retrospective, exactly, on how it had gone for them. And I was just really impressed that they, were doing Marcintosh with the aim of really trying to bring everyone on board with feeling comfortable getting involved in something.
Yeah, I thought the whole idea was fantastic.
And I thought it was really interesting that they were talking about how to kind of reach, in future they want to try and do a better job around underrepresented communities and stuff like that. And I think, I feel particularly personally quite strongly about all of that stuff. So I just thought Marcintosh was really, I haven't watched many videos yet, I want to watch more, but I thought it was just really impressive in terms of the effort that they went to make something that was open. And I hope that everyone had a good time. I certainly enjoyed doing our stuff, and I've seen a couple of things that were just brilliant.
I certainly hope they continue with the next year, because I had other obligations that unfortunately came up, but with everything going around, I mean, it just shows you how many people are into these vintage machines. And we all sort of got the impression from, those other events that they were sort of, well, these events are only for these top YouTubers who, do this stuff, quote unquote professionally. And, that anybody in their basement can't participate. But, this was open up to everybody. And there's some fantastic videos and fantastic content from channels and people I never would have heard of if it wasn't for it. So I think it's absolutely wonderful.
No, I thought it was just so good how it was like, it didn't fit. It felt the opposite of sort of, not elite, but everyone was giving it a go, and that just felt really nice and open. And I think it's really important because, it's just a bit of fun, really. Like, no one should take this stuff too seriously.
Exactly.
It's just a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, that's what this whole show is.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be OpenTalk : nobody takes this seriously. We're just a bunch of nerds. Show.
Yeah, exactly. Right, here we go. Okay, there is literally nothing exciting about what I'm going to do next.
I'm excited anyway.
But we're doing it anyway. So, how bad is this setup? Can you see what's going on?
Yes.
Let's get the power button in shot because it lights up when everything's on. Is everything in shot now? Yes, sir. Can you see? Oh, have I completely blocked the screen?
Yeah, but the power button's more important at the beginning.
Right. Is it going to boot? That's the next question. Oh, this computer has a little trick up its sleeve as well.
Ooh.
That's a bit quiet, isn't it? It's very quiet.
Is that the trick?
No. I kind of expected there to be some kind of boot chime, but I think we're getting video. I think we are getting video.
Maybe the PRAM battery's dead or the volume was set low or something.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I hear the hard drive.
Something's happening. Something is happening.
Which monitor, which video card are you using? That may be the problem. It may be just like mine.
I'm using the 4Mac one because it had a plug the right size. Oh, it said out of range.
Oh, darn.
Right, okay. Oh, God. What a bunch of dorks. Come on, guys.
My monitor said the same thing if it makes you feel any better.
I hope we're down to 0 viewers by now. Cause,
we got 24. We're good. We're in the double digits.
You guys should leave. We've got, just... Can you come back later when we've worked out how to do a YouTube channel?
The video will be all of 5 seconds long.
Okay, look, I have to go to my bag of video adapters.
I'll entertain everyone, don't worry. I'll try.
Do you want to see my bag of video adapters? Here you go.
That I should blur that out. That's a little sensitive. That's. I love it. I love the little composite as video one you have in there, just hanging around.
I've got so much of this crap. Now it's like, find the right video adapter. Oh, they're all on the back of the flipping radius.
You have to go steal one from that, yeah.
No, it's okay. I do have loads.
I do that constantly, and then I'm like, the SCSI card was just in this machine. Where is it? Oh.
Yeah. That's the thing. I keep wondering, do I need to keep up a database that says, by the way, you put this PCI card and this NUBUS card and this computer and this thing in this other computer, and just so you can find it later. I am somewhat organized. I have labels on my drawers, printed labels on my drawers that tell me what's in what. Right.
I do too, and I still mess it up.
Oh God, I hate putting these the thumb screws on video adapters are the absolute worst. They were designed by sadists.
Well, I hate when you're trying to unscrew it and the VGA adapter is bolted in to the DB15 port and you can't you could turn it all you want, but it's just not coming out,
Right, here we go. Let's have another go. Is it going to just show it, or am I going to have to reboot? Let's see. Let's have a look. Is anything going to happen? I feel like it's not looking good, is it? That's a bit of a dark
I think you
green.
need 2 monitors and 2 DB15 adapters and 2 cups of coffee.
Oh, no, don't. It's also got 3 video ports in the back, and I'm like, which one is the right one?
This is the love that you often don't see with old computers is the frustrating bits that people usually don't film when they cut out of their videos of which stupid monitor port do I have to use on this darn clone?
Hey!
Oh wait,
Sorry,
what'd you do?
I'm excited.
What'd you do?
I restarted it.
You cheated.
It is. Yeah, I cheated. It is I don't know why there's tons of noise on the video, but there's Mac OS.
Oh, that's
starting
beautiful.
right up.
So that's what? Ooh.
Okay,
oh,
so look,
that's right.
Which one do you want? Mac OS? I went for Mac OS.
It made its decision for you. So please explain to our viewers what the heck that screen was.
So basically, BeOS, which was an alternative operating system in the mid to late 90s. Well, they started with their own machines, but because they were on the PowerPC platform already, like their first machines that they put out only to developers, well, not their first machines, but let's not get too far into the weeds with this. The main machines they're known for,
8 hours later,
was on, we can't do that. Ran on a pair of 603Es, so it was actually relatively straightforward to have them on make a version of BeOS that booted on a Mac, because then they just had to. They all they had to do was write all the drivers that basically could hook it into the Mac hardware platform. So basically, and it was during the clone era, and it was started by Jean-Louis Gasset, who actually was head of Apple France and then head of Apple hardware, like a vice president in the US. Yep. And then he left under sort of slightly nefarious circumstances, and he started B as an alternative. And so some clone manufacturers actually gave away BeOS with their clones. I think Power Computing maybe.
Yeah, I think there was an option. It might have been Umax. I forget who, but yeah, you're right. Some of them offered it was as an option, and so you had a little brief publicity exchange with Jean-Louis Gasset, didn't you?
I did have an exchange on Twitter. I think
we showed it last time on the channel.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we should either watch the last episode or quicker, maybe Google Jean-Louis Gasset and hypertalking, and presumably it would come up. But he didn't like the fact that I said that his B-boxes were a bit slow, which I still think that they probably were. But also, I think there might also be some. Yeah, I think there might also be a bug with one of mine, so I can't tell 100%.
Well, just have him send you another.
Yeah, just send me more. This era of Mac on these motherboards, with these motherboards, because they're also similar, and it was targeting like the 9500, 9600, the 604 Macs, basically. It's really easy to get it running on pretty much any clone, or most clones, to run the Mac BeOS on it. So we can start it up. Let's have a quick, what happens with the about code. So here it just says macOS computer, although it's 7.6. Is that the standard little Mac face that you would get on 7.6?
No, that's B1. What the heck is B1? British
one,
weird, maybe?
Oh, yeah, it is British.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's British version.
Maybe. And then I haven't seen the Mac OS logo there. Maybe that was just branding for the compatibility.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Funny, isn't it? And then we can do Apple System Profiler. And
let's
tell you what we've
solve the mystery.
So we've got a 604E at 200 megahertz. So not top of the range, but not far off.
It's similar to mine.
Yeah. And what I've only just noticed, who are these little guys on the phone to each other?
I've always noticed that.
This one's chatting.
That's us.
It's us.
They got our hair right, James.
Oh yeah, you're right. They have. One of them's, I don't know what they're saying to each other. They're just like,
they're like, hey, did you know that Jean-Louis Gasset?
Yeah. And we've got 80 megabytes of RAM. So that one module is the 64 megs that we saw in the invoice.
Oh, okay.
From Mac Suppliers.
There you go.
Because it's got 16 megs on the board. And here you go, 7.6 Britain is what it says up here. So you were right. And no printer has been chosen. So sorry about that, but deal with it. So there's a thing here on the desktop. I'll show you. I'll zoom in. It says BeOS Launcher. I don't know whether that... I think that might restart the computer into BeOS a bit. So at the beginning, we had a little choosing thing where we could switch between the two and decide what to launch with. But I think this launches it too. So we could have a quick squiz, a quick look at BeOS on the Mac. I'm just going to double check there's anything juicy on the hard disk. Yeah, no, look. This is a standard clone manufacturer install. Look at that.
Wow.
That is the bare bones clone. Like, you're not a clone manufacturer if you haven't licensed hard disk toolkit and CD-ROM
Yeah,
toolkit.
because you would have major problems with your hard drive and your CD drive if you did not.
Yeah. Because of the drivers. Yeah, exactly. All the different random models you might have used. So let's launch this and see what happens.
Boom.
I can't remember.
Ooh.
Whoa. Did you see that?
That is beautiful. And it's just going to sit there now.
Yeah, that's it. That is the whole BeOS.
It's just a logo. It's very functional. I can see why Guess A was interested.
Very functional.
He's going to contact me now. And...
The hard disk is doing nothing, so I'm like, oh no, it is going. So I think it's loading it.
Wow. So you could just launch it.
Yeah, so within macOS, you could learn. So what it's done is I think it's actually closed macOS and launched.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
BeOS. We've got an icon set here. Look, it's got some like nude people in it.
And it has an Apple Studio display? That's see,
Oh,
you're looking at the naked
station.
people. I'm looking at the Apple Studio display.
Dave's SE30.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Are these by default, or did you like download them somehow?
This I downloaded. I think I was noodling around in a big BeOS archive, and this looks like Icon Factory. This has got to be Icon Factory, hasn't it? I mean, look at the quality of these.
Beautiful.
And we got iMacs on here, and
I need to download the same exact image as you did because now I'm interested.
I mean,
in BeOS.
how good is this?
Now
look, an OS 9 box,
and the snail with the Pentium processor right above it.
Oh my god. That's so cool.
James, now I am invested in getting BeOS on my 604 clone just for these icons. You realize that?
These icons are so cool, aren't they? Yeah, you're going to have to do it. There's a Mac OS X,
Wow.
Mac OS 10 box there.
So you send me the exact link where you got this. I'm downloading it.
Mate, I have no idea whatsoever, but I'll try. I'll try and help you.
Thank you.
Paper towels? I never knew I needed a paper towels and pepper icons.
Sony Mavica icon. This is turned into icon browsing, and I love every second of this.
This is so good. Right, let's just look at icons all day.
That's our next episode.
I am actually really genuinely distracted by this. I'm closing it. Icons V1 README. Here we go. Let's just do this. This is
who made it?
Sorry about the scrolling. That's what I'm looking for. Where is it? Oh, it tells you how to patch the BeOS standard icons so you can use these ones. It is made by a chap in Switzerland called Marc A. Didier.
M-A-R-C?
And you can email him. MLC, yep. This program is postcardware. You can use it and distribute it as you want, only if you send me a postcard to the address below.
Well, I'm going to have to send him a postcard.
So for anyone who hasn't seen BeOS, this is what it looks like. It's got these really cool yellow tabs on the windows.
That's neat.
You have a little dock type thing up here. It's been long enough that I've forgotten how this works. But when you look at, this is the last logo they used. They had a bunch of logos. Oh, wow. 99, this is 4.5. So the last version of BeOS was 5.0. And B themselves didn't sell it directly. It was actually sold via various different companies. Wow. We should have a B only chat at some point.
That'll be fun.
Because I have a ton of BeOS stuff, and I've got my pair of B boxes, and actually one of them needs to be fixed, so we could be really dull and like try and fix it on air.
My viewers don't find that dull, so I think you'll be very happy.
You've got the best viewers. I want your viewers.
Well, you have them right now.
Oh, brilliant! Hi guys. You've been here the whole time. So yeah, one of the coolest things about BeOS was just the aesthetic with these yellow tabs, and then this 3D icon thing was definitely the thing that they did.
Oh, that's so cool.
Most of these are the standard ones, and then Pulse is a cool app where you got like it showed you how much the CPU is being taxed, and you got a little picture of the CPU. And on my B boxes, you get two 603s because that's what it has.
That's so cool.
And if I wiggle the window, it taxes the CPU, and so the little meter goes up. I'll wiggle another window and it'll go up as well.
You're making it upset.
There you go. Yeah. So that was always fun. And it was kind of Unix-like, but it's not. It's compatible with a thing called POSIX, which is kind of like the standard for like Unixy stuff. So it's not Unix underpinnings. Like the Mac, it is a truly graphical interface, and it's not got Unix underneath or anything. It's all written from scratch. But you do have like a terminal. So if you want to use that sort of thing, you can.
Now, were there many applications developed with BeOS in mind, or?
Some amount, not loads. Like I've got. Why don't I just show you a couple? Like, let's switch this around because this has turned into a BeOS chat now.
It's okay.
It's stopped being a Pulsar chat, which I'm fine with. We've done the clones now.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done with that.
You don't need to go to sleep today, right?
No, no one does. So I've got a bunch of stuff here. I'll show you all the things, all the B stuff I have. And then we'll do this properly one day if people would like that.
Yeah, because I
in the chat.
I'm going to bug you about getting BeOS working on my clone, and then we'll have a BeOS party.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, we can totally do that. So let me show you what the story is.
Now the party's here. Sean from Action Retro has stopped by and said, "Woohoo, still going."
Oh, hi, Sean. We are here. And we're not going, ever. We're never leaving YouTube.
Why are my subscriber count going down?
That was me, sorry. Let me put the light on me so you can see the stuff I'm going to show a bit. So, BeOS, like I said, it was originally its own platform. So, but then they quickly ditched doing hardware. So my B boxes are over there. We should totally look at them sometime properly. Yeah. The only problem is that every time I talk about them, I get like a million messages being like, "When are you going to sell them? Will you sell them to me?" Which is it's a bit overwhelming. One of them has to be fixed before I even consider that, and one day. They very quickly ditched their own hardware and moved to a model of like, let's get our operating system on other people's computers. And they did this in various ways, trying to get manufacturers come on board. I can't remember the ones they were talking to. It might have been like Gateway 2000 on the Intel side. And then obviously they were trying to get Mac clone people on the PowerPC side. So they
did release software for non-PowerPC systems eventually? I mean, the OS rather?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were the SaaS place that it got to before they kind of got split up and sold off was their last version of BeOS was basically marketed as just like a layer on top of Windows that was like better GUI, I know they were selling it as like a multimedia operating system. They were basically saying like if you're doing multimedia production or even running multimedia apps, like it's better than Windows, and it was like
wow.
Kind of like a bit of a hard sell, I think. Yeah. It's kind of sad because, like, who wants to be an OS that's on top of an OS that everyone's heard of?
Then you have to pay for it.
Yeah, like whereas Linux was coming along at like basically the same time and eating its lunch because it's free, right? For God's sake, and better in lots of ways because like you could have a Windows PC that then became obsolete, and then you could put Linux on it, and it was suddenly good again. And I remember my friend and his older brother in like, I guess 96, 97, 98. Doing that, like they put Linux on all their old PCs and like had MP3 players and all this other stuff that wouldn't work on Windows. Wow. And of course SoulSeek and Napster, of course, very important for those days. But so this is release 3. I don't know I can't remember what the releases looked like before that, but basically there were a bunch of preview releases, and some of them you could just pick up for free. Like, oh, wow. If you would, like, for instance, I went to a Mac World with my brother in the UK in the mid 90s, and or late 90s, and they were just giving away preview release, I think PR2, and there was a few preview releases that were just giving away that were Mac only. You could only install it and run it on a Mac.
Wow.
And I can't remember what limitations it had. And then they were releasing this is the full release 3. And you'll see on here it says includes Intel Pentium and PowerPC versions.
Oh, okay, wow.
And you have 2 separate CDs, and then there's like a floppy disk for installing it on Intel computers. So here on the side, BeOS capable systems, many Intel Pentium with MMX, Pentium Pro, Pentium 2, so that gives you an idea of the era. Most PowerPC 603 or 604 PCI-based PowerMacs, and then last of all, the B-Box Dual 603 personal computer, which was their own one. And then they list all the like video cards and stuff it works with, and And that's 3. And then, so you can see that's what the original logo was, which I prefer. And then we've got, this is release 4. And then this one, they're calling themselves Power by Design, the B operating system. So they're really just setting themselves apart as a better OS. But then here, you can see they're starting to be like, oh, how do we stand out? So this is the B operating system, the Media OS. And they basically talk about, so it did lots of like stuff that if you had started at OS in the mid-90s would have been dumb not to do, like pervasive multi-threading, symmetric multiprocessing, protected memory. Some people have told me that some of these claims are slightly overblown, but it was doing all the kind of stuff that like Next Step basically was doing as well. And like you kind of just needed, if you were a Mac user, you knew where the flaky wilderness was, and it was all around running like multiple apps at the same time and stuff like that. Yeah. And here they also say media optimized 3D capabilities provided by native implementation of OpenGL, internet ready. The BeOS doesn't just work with the internet; it's designed as an internet native system.
What does that even mean?
Talking about, this is when, well, basically it's like TCP/IP and stuff is like new to consumers then, I guess, and like internet is new to consumers. So this is what year is this? This is 1998.
Okay, yeah.
So you know, like they're trying to get on board with that, and then they're exciting people. They've got all their cool icons down the side there. Let's try and get that in shot. Got all the fun icons, and actually, the bottom icon is like a tiny picture of the B-Box that was their computer that they made, that little blue computer. And yeah, so that's 4. And here they're still listing the B-Box as the computer it's compatible with. And this is still for B. But then we get to release 5, and I got 2 of these because B had stopped selling it directly themselves. This is a company called Apicabar or something.
It's the Pro Edition.
Yeah, Pro Edition, BeOS 5 Pro. And look at these graphics.
Wow.
I mean,
that's like medical grade graphics, you know?
Yeah. It's not very inspirational, is it? And they list multiprocessing, integration internet. This is a French company, so the English is a bit different. Real multitasking, protected memory, and works with files from other operating systems, which is, kind of a depressing feature to put.
It's the operating system is so good, you'll have to use it with other systems.
Yeah, and it's just really a bit desperate. And they like even list like there's a CD with like demo editions of various games and demo apps cool. and stuff like that.
So you get some stuff to play around with then.
Yeah. And then on the side, you can use Intel Celeron or Pentium, AMD Athlon, Xeon processors, Cyrix 686s, Ryze MP6. So basically all the x86 clones they're listing. And then,
so we're looking into clones we didn't even know about that we were talking about.
Yeah. And then we got many PowerPC 8500/8600, 9500/9600 PCI-based compatible computers. Wow. So then again, they're talking about the clones again. And it does work with G3 upgrade cards. And then it says PowerPC 750, G3, G4, iMac and iBook not supported. Oh. So in the iBook era, and like they're still trying to push it.
But they're not
like
supported.
I said, it's not yeah, but only by then you're really only running this on Intel, really.
Yeah.
And what happens is you see, like, obviously with the user base split across 2 different CPU architectures, you'll see that pretty much the only commercial software you ever see for it was Intel, not PowerPC. And I'll show you a couple of those in a sec. And this is one of the changes to the logo. Yeah. There's a different logo.
Yeah, because I was about to ask that. If you had the PowerPC version and you went to buy commercial software, was it a fat binary or was it just Intel? Wow.
No, I don't think they did fat binary. And then this is also BeOS Pro Edition 5, but from a different company. So this is a US company called, they're called GoB Software, although it looks like Gobe.
Gobe.
Yeah, Gobe. And it's a completely different box from the Apicabar, whatever it is.
If I were to look at that piece of software, that box, without understanding what BeOS is, I just think it was some Photoshop type web thing.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, what is going on here?
Create beyond.
It's kind of the era, and again, this should be 98. Like, no, this is 2000.
Oh wow! So somebody had the license to that, and they were just hawking that.
Yeah. And here they only mention being compatible with Intel systems, nothing else. Wow. They list loads of video cards that they recommend, and they talk about digital cameras it works with, networking it works with, video capture devices it works with Sound Blaster. Everything like SCSI, PCMSIA, because you're getting into a place where like they're relying on PC clones, so you have to talk about the drivers you have, because it's so likely that someone would buy it and it wouldn't work.
So that is just a completely Intel version of that OS there, no PowerPC at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're talking about like as an alternative to other PC operating systems, because here it says BeOS 5 extraordinary digital power for ordinary PC hardware, delivers the speed, processing power, and stability of a high-end multimedia workstation on ordinary low-cost desktop PCs. So, like I said, like it's all about saying the OSs you already have are really inefficient, and you're like
that's what's
you're
holding your computer
like you've got a whole new machine. Yeah, and it actually to some degree I do agree with this, because I remember installing it on my Pulsar when I was a kid and being blown away by the performance difference between the Mac OS and BeOS. Like, it feels so much snappier. And there's a demo included with BeOS where you have various 3D objects that you can interact with. So there's like a cube, there's like a teapot, there's like a book with 3D pages that you can turn. But what you could also do is drag images and videos onto every surface of these 3D models.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember having the 3D book thing and like putting a video on every page and turning the pages. And I'm like, I can barely like run one QuickTime movie on macOS. So it kind of did. It was somewhat true, the claims. And then here they're trying to really sell. Yeah, they're trying to. And there's a quote here from Information Week. Imagine an operating system that combines some of the better qualities of Linux to macOS and Windows, and you'll have an idea of the huge potential of BeOS. But like, it's not the most strident quote. Imagine some of the better features, like combine some of the better features. Like, come on. Anyway, so the two versions of that, and then the two bits of software I have are this is kind of like this is like a sort of productivity suite.
And what company made
like,
that? Is it BeOS?
So this is Go. This is the same as these people.
Oh, okay.
So this is Go. Yeah. So this is actually called Go Be Productive.
See, I saw the OBE and I said, "Is that Adobe?" Like,
yeah. No. So do you get the name? Go Be Productive. Go be productive.
You're really selling it.
Do you get
yeah.
it?
Now...
Clever, isn't it? So, and that's the last B logo there with the funny face, head, ear. I don't know what's going on there.
Your eyes, your nose, and your ear combined into weird shapes or something.
Yeah, I think again trying to do the multimedia OS thing, and then this is so what could it do? It could do word processing, spreadsheet, graphics, image processing. And then basically on the side it says you need BeOS 4.5 or higher, and you need. Although this one does actually run on Pentium or PowerPC.
Oh, you'll have to image that for me.
Yeah, so that one can do either. Yeah, I think it might be out there, but I'm happy to image it for you.
Sweet.
If not. But then here, this is the only commercial game I know of that was released for BeOS. I think there's one other, but I think this is the only boxed game ever for BeOS. So I can see Civilization Called Power. So what's that? I've got it for Mac.
I have that for Mac, James. I bought that for the Macintosh. I never played it at all. I bought it because it was the only Mac game in the store, and I figured, this looks interesting. Never took it out of the box.
Standard Macintosh user experience of the 90s.
Yeah.
It's the only Mac thing. I'll just buy it. Maybe it'll be okay.
I might have put the CD in the computer and installed it and realized it was like a real-time strategy, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then ejected it. That was...
So here's the Mac version.
Oh, yep.
Next to it. And then that's a MacSoft one, and it says Macintosh and everything. Wow. And then the BeOS one, I don't know. It has got its own box because they've printed on.
Oh yeah, and the front says BeOS on it too. Yeah.
But that's actually a sticker. But I think that was probably because that's too subtle. and probably people bought it thinking it was the PC one and was like,
they probably got
wait a
a lot
second,
of
what the hell is
returns.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Something screwed up, and like it says it in like, it says it like I said, it says it on the spines, and then it says it underneath, and that's
Yeah,
it.
because you're
like in
you're probably like, what the heck is BeOS?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, fine, whatever. So, I know there was a version of Abuse by Bungie that worked on BeOS,
Okay.
but I don't know if it was like a proper full release, commercial release. But yeah, here you have to have a Pentium. You have to have a Pentium 266 minimum and be running BeOS 4.5. This is from 1999. So yeah, like that's basically it. And there's other commercial software, but very few and far between.
Wow.
And I'm just very lucky that
yeah, it's cool that you have them in box. Because I've never seen them.
I managed to just pick up stuff from people who are BeOS developers, I think.
Oh, cool.
And my B boxes came from a BeOS developer, and then all my Next stuff came from a Next developer as well. And like, same story with both sets of people actually. Like the BeOS people, BeOS failed. Apple bought Next, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin. And so they stopped. Their company got shut down because all they did was develop BeOS apps. And then the same story with the people who I bought Next Step and OpenStep stuff off. They were developing a productivity suite that never got released because Next stopped making their own hardware, and they basically, these people didn't port it to Intel, which obviously where Next went to, and they just gave up. So yeah, just been lucky to cross paths with UK developers who were working on these things.
That's excellent.
So yeah, I've been a little bit of crap. So yeah, we should do like a whole chat about
you
at some point and look at my B boxes.
You've convinced me to install it on the tower I have. So that's
do it. Make the APS dual boot.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up that hard drive first, and then that's I think what I'm gonna do.
I'm pretty sure that archive.org has the PR to like the preview releases of BeOS on it. I've got
that's the one you're running 4.5.
I've got a couple of.
Or is that
yes.
release, or is that is there a preview or a release
yes.
version? What version?
I'm on release 4.5.
Okay, and is that a full release?
Oh yeah, and they have all. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 4.5, and they're all on. I think they are actually. I think they're all on archive.org.
Excellent.
Actually, aren't they? I think all versions.
Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and then I think if you just Google for those icons, it came up. There's like big B archives. So that's it.
Awesome.
We've totally gone off piece to end this with, so that's good.
I thought that was fantastic. I mean, the Pulsar is a very cool machine because I don't have one. I have bits of it, but I don't have the full one. I had the opportunity to get one, but it was in Virginia and it was on eBay, and the shipping would have just destroyed the price of it. And so my friend Greg Rucke, he has a YouTube channel, Rucke Mods. He does a bunch of Apple mods and stuff. He actually bought that system, so he has it now.
Oh, cool.
But I like sent him the link, and it was not too far from him, so he was able to go pick it up. But yeah, Mr. Fahrenheit says, please pull out that Apple Share Pro box and show it. That is super rare.
Oh yeah. Anyone? Yeah, I'm always happy to like share stuff. Let me get that. Let me get that out.
But thank you for sharing the clones.
Pro.
That was fantastic.
Oh yeah, no problem. No, I enjoy it. Like, we've been trying to do this for like months, and like not that anything really got in the way except for like just life.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm just glad that we did it all because I was super excited when we were like, oh, let's talk about all the clones, and obviously we talked about all the weird unlicensed ones that I have last time, and
those are so cool. I've never seen a lot of those, so thank you.
And then they're like way more interesting because they're not just like a PC that can run Mac stuff, but like you know what I mean. But like there's still loads. Like I think the whole clone story, both sort of unlicensed and licensed ones, are just interesting because of all the weird stuff that happened around it and like why they happened and who tried to have success and where the success and failure was, and it is just neat. And like the APS thing is fun. Like, you know, a company that never made computers before being like, oh yeah, I can do that. And like obviously Umax as well. Like, well, let's have a go. Like Apple have
sure, let's
have a go at this. Yeah, exactly. What can go wrong? So
8 months later, we're out of business.
Yeah, exactly. So Mr. Fahrenheit, I will show you things. I'll show you the thing. If anyone else wants to see anything, I have no idea how rare this is, but I've got a bit of a weird thing about Apple Share. I don't know why. I think it's partly because there's just something interesting about how the Mac at the beginning had Apple Talk and had that connectivity of networking so easy and I remember being a kid and being really excited and putting, like, my brother and I ran telephone wires like out of windows around our parents' house so that everyone in the house could be networked.
That's fantastic.
We bought like a second-hand SE30 and had it running as a print server for a style writer, and then everyone in the house from their different rooms could print stuff because we basically had a weird shoddy collection of second-hand Macs, and we were like, how do we make this useful? And everyone wanted to be able to print. There was no way that we could afford to have an Ethernet set up in any way. But PhoneNet means you could just chuck a telephone cable out a window and crimp the end. And it was great fun. And so there was something just really exciting. I don't understand what it is. There's something really exciting about the computers talking to each other. And you open the chooser and up pops your other Macs. You're like, oh,
you might not want to connect to it, but it's there. It's like
Yeah. I'll send you a text file with nothing in it. And I remember installing that extension Broadcast, which meant you could send messages across the network.
Oh, I've never tried that one.
Messages to so I used to send messages to my parents, and they'd be like, "What is happening on my computer?"
It just popped up like a dialogue box.
Yeah. Just pops up.
I'm gonna have to try that. Exactly. I'm gonna have to try that.
It's really good. Mr. Fahrenheit says, "I thought I had the whole box set. Now I'm missing one. Sorry."
Oh.
I would like the whole set. I really want the. So shall I show you what I've got?
So this
Mr.
is Apple Share Pro. This was, I guess, to install on a server.
Yeah, but all the versions of Apple Share just have completely different names. There's no consistency. So the first there is a thing before this, I think maybe, but this is the first Apple Share that I have. Apple Share, there must be one before it because it's version 2. So this is the Apple Share file server software, and there was also a printer server software because printer serving was so important and different as well. So there's that, and then I've got this is Apple Share 3, server 3, and then I've got version 4. And basically, most of what they did was make them better performance as they went along, because that seemed to be the main thing they changed. And then this is the last one I've got, IP, and this is I think this is Jobs era.
Yeah, the design looks very.
You can tell by the design. Yeah, exactly. That's sort of definitely that era. And then Apple Share Pro. I see. Okay, yeah. Basically, I'm pretty sure this only runs on the Workgroup Server 95. So here we go. If I read the back. Brings a new level of performance to the Apple Share family of file and print services designed for the optimized hardware and operating system of the new Apple Workgroup Server 95, which I don't have one of, which had a specific RAID card and always had a DAT drive, and I think it came with AUX.
Yeah, I think Mr. Fahrenheit in the chat is saying that Apple Share Pro was for AUX. Does it mention AUX on the box at all?
So that's what I'm looking for. So it says Apple Share Pro is up to 4 times faster than Apple Share 3. So Apple Share 3 ran on Mac only. Share Pro files. Let me read. Yes, here we go. Requirements. Recommended for use with the Apple Workgroup Server 95. I'm pretty sure that's basically the only Mac it runs on. I mean, it would work on a Quadro 950 as well, I think. Requires AUX version 301 or later. So yeah, this is not really Macintosh. This is not Macintosh software.
But that's even rarer. That's boxed AUX software. Think of that.
Yeah, that's quite cool. I love AUX. It seems like Mr. Fahrenheit is probably. You've got 2 copies of 1.0. Hello. I would love AUX. I've been trying to hunt down AUX. I think I missed it once. I would love a bit of AUX box.
I think maybe Mr. Fahrenheit's even involved in this. I am horrible with remembering usernames, but there's a few individuals that are starting a AUX-related subreddit community, and they are into archiving all these AUX releases and all this stuff, and they're working on getting every version available and making it downloadable and playing around, so people could test their stuff. And I've never gotten into it. I have a few machines now that could actually run it, so I'd be happy to try it. But I'm just not of the mind that knows how to use it, so maybe I'll start with BeOS and I'll go from there.
I'm the leader of the AUX subreddit.
That's right. Okay, I'm glad. See, I remembered. Sort of. Thank you. Well, first off, Mr. Fahrenheit, the work you are doing is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the more people that have these access to these drive images or these developer tools and all this stuff, I mean, archive it, share it. That is exactly what we want to do with all this old Apple stuff, and that is fantastic because the community needs this stuff. It shouldn't be behind a paywall or anything else like that.
It is archiving all my bits and bobs that I'm pretty sure are I don't really seek out rare things. I just seek out things that interest me. But I've accidentally ended up with lots of things that I think are quite rare. This is in pretty much mint condition in here as well. I don't know if there's much interest in sharing what's in here, but
please do.
We've got
I think everyone's drooling.
So that's the proper. So that'll get your workgroup server 95 booting. That's not even focus, is it? Come on. Anyway, whatever. And then there's the installer, which is 2 floppies. I think that might be all the soft. Oh no! I can see loads and loads and loads of floppy disks at the bottom of the box. Yeah, and we can have a quick squiz at the documentation. Yeah, let's get it all out. This room has turned into an app. I had a nice tidy room before this stream started. It's now an absolute mess.
That is the curse of Mac 84. I apologize for nothing.
Yeah, I've inherited. It's like your basement is creeping into my. It's like there's a portal.
So is that a phone net portal? Can I jump in and start archiving some of the stuff you have?
What I think is really interesting is it didn't Farallon invent phone. I know it's really basic, but basically they invented and marketed it. But then you can buy official Apple phone net adapters as well.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre.
I don't have an official one, but I have also heard stories that Apple actually used phone net internally at their building before Ethernet became, popular. They actually used phone net internally for their own. I don't know if that's true, but it's always been something I hear.
Yes, Kai, that's a Amiga 500 Plus. My partner had a 500 Plus when she was a kid, and for one birthday I got her one. It has some ludicrous German accelerator in it. I think it's an 020 running at some, I don't know, silly megahertz, and then it has that has 2 compact flash slots in it, so you can have Workbench on one and all the boot stuff on one and games on the other, because that's all that Amiga's for, right? So there's 2 CDs as well as the floppy disks. We've got Apple Share Pro Installer version 1. This is still sealed, so no one's ever used this.
Wow, that is cool. Jeez.
So this should go into my series of unsealing.
Yes.
And
then archive it immediately.
And then this is the system software installer for file and print service environment for Workgroup Server 95.
Oh, that's cool.
So there we go.
We got our first super chat, I think, of the whole show.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Fahrenheit. And what we do around here, we give it EEP. So EEP, thank you very much.
I absolutely love the silly. Can you see the silly artworks? Sorry about the reflection.
That's beautiful.
You can see BeOS reflected in it. Just cross the streams there.
It's an extraordinarily bad idea.
That's from 93, by the way. In case anyone's wondering, that's from 93. So please complete and mail this, if you would, back to Apple Computer in Dallas, Texas.
And they will,
as we all know,
promptly
Apple Computer
lose it.
of Dallas. Let's have a quick look at the bits of paper, because I think maybe this will be useful for Mr. Fahrenheit. What a great name. By the way, you need to get into the 21st century and change your name to Mr. Celsius. Just saying. Just going to have another dig at imperial measurements.
And I'm just going to sit here and take it and cry softly when I'm off camera.
Give me an inch, and I'll take a mile. So, I'm really sorry. I am, just saying, I am a dad. I have to do one a day.
I think you have to do one every half hour when you're on this show. That's At least we're not talking about the smooth shaft of the mouse grip, whatever the heck that was.
Brilliant. So yeah, here's the manual, and is there anything interesting in this? I'm going to have a quick flick. It's just installer screens. It's not a nice typesetting, standard Apple typesetting of the day. What I love, this is really silly, but I just love diagrams like this.
Oh,
Don't you just love diagrams like that?
I love diagrams like that. That is just.
I want this network. Don't you want this network?
Yes, please.
Look, look, Steve. Here we are. Look, actually, they've given them names. There's Evan, Hansel. Hansel. Isn't that the dude in like Zoolander?
Yeah, that's. I think it's also like children's storybooks. Hansel and Gretel. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hansel and Gretel. Royce Wolfrock.
I'll be Royce. Let's just make it easy.
Kate Jones, Selma Sol, Jordan Maynot, and Rowena Deary.
I like how they
how
they gave them last names because it's completely not needed. You could have just said user 1, 2, 3, 4 or Steve and
I feel
whatever.
sorry. I feel sorry for finance because they're just called finance.
And they're the 3-headed finance monster.
Yeah. And the workgroup server is like a sort of oppressive, authoritarian leader. Look at this, they're all under its control via AUS.
I mean, it's so heavy, they're all holding it up, you know? Oh my God.
Everyone kind of looks the same in this office, don't they?
They're taking after us.
Kind of creepy. Yeah. No one needs a hairdresser.
No. Why do you need a hairdresser when you have a server? There you go.
But the sysadmin does get to have hair. Look at that.
There's a bit of a superiority complex going on there.
I just absolutely love that kind of stuff. I love
beautiful.
It. It's so, and I really want that network. We could be sending each other simple text files right now, Steve.
Hold on, let me throw a wire to you. You catch it.
No, because I never get this right. I'm always the wrong side of the screen. Whoa!
Wait,
hold
on. Wait.
Probably not.
I have it the wrong way. All right. I'm pulling the cable. Oh, this looks wrong.
We're gonna be getting out. You mustn't do that. Put your mouse away.
You cut out there. Your internet stopped. Your internet stopped as soon as we started laughing. What'd you say? Oh boy. Oh, that's cool. Oh, they said there's no sound from you. Maybe it was because things screwed up. I still hear you, but we'll just hold that thought for 1 second. Can you hear him now? Because the chat's delayed and your internet broke up just for a second, but apparently they still can't hear you. I don't know why. It's probably just because Skype had a little bit of an issue there with the connection. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh. Yeah. So let me that's weird because I'm getting no signal here that anything is going on. But yeah, let's try to. Do you mind if I just jump off the Skype call for a second, quit it, and open it up again? Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, so hopefully you could hear me again. There's some technical difficulties here. I'm going to call James back in a moment. There was some sort of hiccup, and it screwed up there. So, all right, so I'm fine now. So let me call James back in. All right, so I'm fine now. So let me call James back in. 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 So let me call Ja Oh, we gotta try again. 1 second. Okay, let's see if this wants to fix itself. Probably not. I see... Oh, James, you have to push the little camera button, maybe? There you go. We got you back.
Oh, no. Now my headphones are not working. This is just standard, isn't it? All this rubbish. Technical rubbish.
They said this is what we get for using PhoneNet. Okay, hopefully we're good here. Let me just fix the video here. Sorry about that. What happened was there was a bit of a hiccup on James's end. It sounded like he stopped for a second, and then all of a sudden, so I don't know whose end it was. I'm not blaming anybody. I have a very weird computer setup here, so it could very well have been my fault. But hopefully everybody could hear everybody. Okay, great. So you were opening the AUX box there.
The Apple Share Pro box, yeah. So we went through that,
and there's a bunch of floppies.
Yeah, I don't know how far we got, but basically there's a bunch of floppies, and then there was 2 CD-ROMs, one for installing different things. I think only one of them was actually meant to be in there, so I've got a bonus for something else, and I can't remember what that was now. I could have a quick check what that was. But yeah, this is in really good condition. I don't think it ever got used, really.
Wow.
Maybe they bought it to have the license. Maybe they needed more than one license, and they just used one install disk for both. So the other one is actually installer, system software installer, file and print service environment. It's just weird because it's not on the packing list, but it matches. They're both the same design, but it's not on the packing list. So I don't understand why that is, but whatever. That's fine. I would love a workgroup server 95, although at the same time I wouldn't because I don't have the space.
Yeah, they are huge. I don't have one.
Yeah, but I have the same. I have a Quadra 950. Well, look, I can show you. Look at this mess down here. Let's flip this round. Down here, I've got a Quadra 950.
Oh wow.
Then there's an empty 950s case that was a parts machine for my 9150 behind.
Oh wow.
So that is a workgroup server, the 9150, and that is a unique machine that was never designed to be a Mac and accidentally ended up being a Mac.
So which is the one you're missing?
So I don't have a WGS 95.
Oh, okay.
I've got the 9150. The 95 is based on the Quadra 950.
Okay.
Which I do have. But they're just like monsters. These are absolute monsters, these. And I spent way too much time fixing them up. I used to have 2 9150s, and I sold my 120 megahertz one to another collector. Actually, no, I swapped it for my Radius. That's how I got my Radius.
Wow.
Swapped it for that.
That is.
But this is awesome. This is a bit of a monster's corner because I've got my 2FX there, which I'm about to get out because I'm going to be testing Antoine's Silicon Insider's RAM.
And
that
Antoine, I just want to give him a quick plug because he sent me some memory too. And I'm going to hide the address on here because I don't want to give away my address. But you have to see the fantastic stamp that he put on mine.
Oh! Brilliant. I got a circuit diagram and you got an E.
I got an E.
That's really good.
And yeah, so I got a little postcard from him.
I thought mine was cool. Look at that. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm gonna I have to tag his he sent me an email and I did not bring it up. So just
I get his
we'll just fuss around here.
My
for a
room
second.
is such a mess. I can't get around the room. It's such a mess.
Welcome to my world, James. I'm sorry.
What was I saying?
Not sorry.
This is all your fault.
I hear that a lot.
He gave me I got a little spare VRAM card, which is the one where when you shine a light through there, you can see that the little Mac inside has a little cursor on its screen.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But you have to shine a light through the back.
I got that one too. I'm curious what type of modules actually go on.
And then this is super exciting because anyone knows who tried to hunt down 2FX RAM, they'll know it is rare as hen's teeth because it's 68 pin instead of 30 or 72. And then not only has he given me that, but they're all he's made me up 16 megabyte ones.
Oh wow!
So I've got a lot of RAM.
That's fantastic. I got
pretty much maxing out my 2FX.
Let's see. I'll just grab this camera and hopefully it doesn't die on me. because the USB cable is very sensitive on it. But he sent me these goodies here. So I have, he sent me a sheet to try and see which ones are which here. But he needs help with the, which one is it here that he sent me? The I can't even pronounce it. Tanzania ones? This one here.
Tanzania,
sorry.
Tanzania, yeah.
So he needed help
that'll
testing
be for testing in your, that'll be in your power computing one?
Yeah.
Is that the Tanzania?
We could, well, I have, this is the
or your
VRAM.
APS.
So I could do it in the APS and I could do it in the Performa I have. So that'll be great. And then I have some VRAM, what looks like for like the Performa series and the LC series, which is great. And then this little guy, which is a 68-pin. I love the graphics on these. He's top-notch work on all of these graphics.
Like, that is the reason to buy Silicon Insider's RAM chips.
Yes.
Because they are beautiful.
So
cool, isn't it?
I mean, it just every ounce of love and care has been put into these things, and so
completely out of focus. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. There it goes. Eventually, maybe it's
better.
But who
knows?
I'll try and do. Mine's still in the plastic. I didn't even take them out yet because I'm going to do a little video for him to promote the heck out of these, because this is the coolest thing. I'm just so excited that so many people like Kai and Antoine have done all of these cool things that are for these old systems. So that's going to be a whole segment of me playing around with these. But I want to just plug him real quick on Instagram. So he sent me an email here, and he's saying the VRAM is a first batch. I have many more modules coming. Reverse engineering does not have to be destructive, which is great. And the memory modules are made from professionally made PCBs. 4 layers is what he's working with here. They are hand assembled, and so they will never be in industrial volume production. And so, of course, sourcing new old stock RAM is very challenging. But as long as there is demand, he's going to keep trying to make them for as much as he can. He wants to keep them a fair price, and he's offering free worldwide shipping. And so to order them, you could contact him directly on Twitter or Instagram, which is Silicon Insider, if I remember correctly. He's also on 68K MLA, but he checks that less often. But I'm gonna put in his Instagram and his Twitter into the YouTube chat here, just so we do not lose that. And if my mouse will actually copy the text from this email, come on, we will do that a bit sooner. Let me put this camera back. Where does it go? Up here. Sorry about that. We're being a little shaky cam. So let me do that here. Yes, so his Instagram is slightly different than his Twitter, so let me just put both of them in there. And I have to add a little space here. There we go. So that's the Instagram and his Twitter. I'm just going to very quickly shove that in the text here on the chat, because I want that to be oops, sorry. I'm very fumbling around with this. I apologize. There we go. So I want to make sure he gets recognition there for this awesome stuff that he's doing.
So good.
Can't make that small enough, but yeah, I know you're excited to test the memory that he gave you. I'm sure. I
think I might already have 16 megabyte sims in mine, but I don't think I've got 8.
Oh, so. That's you. I mean,
so awesome.
How much more cool can you get? So that's going to be featured. These memory modules will be featured in a future video, but I did want to just give him a shout out there, because so much cool stuff is coming out of this guy and from a lot of people. So awesome work.
Yeah, and he's a very nice man as well.
Oh yes, it's 9 times out of 10 these people are excellent, which just makes promoting them and talking to them and testing them out for even a pleasure. So excellent. My goodness. Well, we certainly looked at quite a bunch of cool stuff today, James. I know you probably have a time limit, so I don't want to keep you too long, but...
Yeah, I should probably head off.
Yeah.
But I wonder if there's anything, like, often just this wall of software sets people off. Is there anything anyone wants to see? I'm always happy to open stuff up, and we can always look at things next time. Also, like, we haven't talked about anything that you and I would do in the future, but we do have a list of ideas.
Yes.
That we can still go through. Like, we've both got weird and wonderful devices that would be fun to investigate. Please come back on the episode. Yes.
Yes. Oh, definitely. So, Kai has been nice enough to give me some time tomorrow. So, at 1:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, Kai Robinson will be joining me, just as James is here. And so I invite everybody to come back for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I always would love James to come back. I'm sure we'll do plenty of silly more episodes together, and we'll find some peripherals. Maybe we could do an international phone net connection somehow. Some ridiculous stuff.
I have got so many phone net adapters in a drawer. Why haven't I got rid of them? I can't. Sentimental reasons.
You know, it's really funny though, because I was looking on eBay for them a few years ago, and they are hard to find. Those and the AUI adapters are sometimes hard to find. Like, they go in waves where there's like a bucket of them for $1, and then it's like, oh, here's one adapter that's broken for $30. You know, it's like, you know.
I've got an absolute mountain of the official Apple Local Talk ones as well, like the locking ones, all of that. I've even got them in box, for God's sake. Look, I've got. I've got both versions, DB9 and DIN8, got both ones.
Oh, wow.
There you go, in box.
I like how one has the X on it. You like the pieces missing.
Yeah, some seller did that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for ruining the box for me. But, like, I've got all this crap. It should all be in the bin. I should get rid of it all.
No, before you do, I'll just drive over with the plane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and this is I think that's the original... That's the original connector kit there, Apple Talk connector kit, which is quite fun.
That is, I love the box of that stuff.
And and look at the diagram on the back. I mean, that is to die for. Those are the things that. That's what brings me happiness.
I need like a poster of that just to wrap the entire basement of my. I have a few of those books sealed, and I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, just bask in the awe of that photo.
Yeah, that is so
good, isn't it? All of it. Anyway, sorry, we were trying to actually wrap up, weren't we? This is what happens.
I'm just putting something in the chat here because Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, we're just talking about PhoneNet. Joe's from Joe's Computer Museum, say that 5 times fast, did a... did I paste the wrong link in there? No, I did not. Hopefully I did not. But he did a product that he called Neithernet. And so essentially he reverse engineered the PhoneNet adapter with some help of some other stuff that he found, and was able to basically do PhoneNet but using Ethernet cabling, which is pretty cool. So I thought that was fantastic, and again, people are doing amazing things. So go check out his channel. I pasted it in the chat there. But yeah, I mean, I know we'll be seeing you again, so this isn't goodbye. It's just talk to you a little bit later. But I'm gonna probably have dinner and then rip the hard drive out of this thing. This you can't see it, but the let me move the thing. This tower here, and image it, and then I could put maybe BeOS on it. We'll see how exciting I get. How much I get, rather, on that.
Just for the icons.
Just for the icons. That is what turned me. That is what turned me. I saw the icons, and I'm like, I need these in my life.
What is wrong with us? So many things.
It's going to be so disappointing when I get the icons. I'm like, all right,
totally not worth it.
What's now? Yeah. Well, thank you, James, for spending 4,000 hours with me so far today. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
We will, I'm sure, get a bunch of requests for unboxing some of your stuff later on. I do have something to unseal. That is that HyperCard like tutorial or workshop or whatever sealed little thing. So maybe we'll do an unsealing party together or something one day.
Cool.
That'll be fun.
Oh yeah. I'm up for it. I'm up for unsealing.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Well, I'll let you go, James. Thank you so much for stopping in. I'm going to just close the show out, but you could follow James on Instagram and Twitter. Let me put his overlay back up here so you could all follow him on his Instagram and Twitter and his website there, Hypertalking. Always a pleasure, James. Thank you so much for joining today.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me on. It was great. I look forward to the next one.
Great. All right, I'm just going to transition off here and give a sign-off speech. So thank you, everybody, for joining another episode of Open Talk. This has been fantastic. So tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, Kai will be joining us. I am so excited to talk to him about his reverse engineering efforts with the Macintosh SE, how he got into Apple machines, how he got into vintage computers, and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm so excited to have him on and to talk about that. And so please stay tuned. And if you can't catch us live, please consider subscribing here on YouTube. You'll be notified when I do another stream or a video like this. And so make sure you hit that little bell icon and like the video too. Because if you don't like that video, it makes me sad personally, and I take offense to that. But other than that, thank you so much for joining today. And stay happy, stay healthy, and keep messing around with old vintage computers, because that makes me happy. So take care, guys, and thank you very much for stopping by.